upon these streets where dreams are sold. Cheaper love, cheaper thrills, served on ice, slightly chilled. Strangers passing by, met each other's eyes, looks they thought they'd own, made their secrets known to the hush that fell on us, the lies we tell, to the hush that flows on all of us, the ones who know. Hush that fell, shook the trees, old receipts blew in the breeze, paper nights, plastic days, earth stood still, red with haze. Lovers lost their grasp, losers would not ask. Nothing could be said, all just hung their heads to the hush that fell on us, the lies we tell, to the hush that flows on all of us, the ones who know.
Hi. Oh, is my hand good? I don't know. I think I think my hand's good. Hi everyone. How are you doing? I am Zoe. We know this because, well, unless you don't know, in which case, hello. I'm Zoe. Pleased to meet you. And I will be reading to you all tonight. It's a book stream. Hi everyone. Hi Already Officer. Hi Octoguppy. Hi. Good to see you. I'm reading a book stream. We're doing a book stream, and on the book stream, I'm reading. I read during the book stream. It's okay. I appreciate lurkers as well. No worries. You might have known that I was doing a book stream because I talked about it a lot on Twitter and stuff. And also I have this little thingy that I created. It was a pain. It sucked. It was very bad. I did not enjoy it. I don't know why it was so hard to make a proper transparent GIF, and I still couldn't. But it was agony, and I suffered a lot for this. So I hope you all appreciate this little book and animation that I have made. And of course, my hands are not cooperating. This is also normal. We are used to this. Now then, let me put on some appropriate music. It's maybe the first time ever that I thought about that I had to put on music before I actually started doing the thing in my life. So let's start with Animal Crossing music. That's always a good safe one, right? What the hell? Okay. Animal Crossing music. And then we'll get this one. Loop. There we go. Okay, so this stream, I hadn't even said that yet. This Animal Crossing, I mean, no, what? This stream, this book Nook stream, as usual, my brain is like all over the place. The Book Nook stream is funded by you guys. I'm gonna turn down the music a little bit. I assume it's, yeah, it could be a lot quieter still. That's pretty good. Okay. It was funded by you guys using channel points. And that's great. So you have yourself to thank for this. But I'm sure it's good. It's the second time that you've done this. The first time we read Alice in Wonderland, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland to be precise. And that was a lot of fun, I think. And I think you guys did as well. Because you funded another one. During which we're going to read the sequel to Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, it's got a sequel. Usually the two are bunched together in most adaptations, but not this, not the original. There's a sequel called Alice Through the Looking Glass, which it's this. We're gonna read it. All right, let me get this set up. Surprise! No, we're reading Homestuck! Get fucked! We're reading Homestuck because it's Homestuck Day. A young man stands at... No, just kidding. But it is Homestuck Day. just so you know. Today is Homestuck's birthday. It's a mess. And that's all I say about that. I don't do pranks good. Otherwise, I totally would have like prepared more for this. But I'm not good at pranks and tricking people and stuff. So, but I wanted to do that just a little bit, you know. I thought that was fun. But no, let me take you to the real stream. So for that, I am going to come walk with me, everyone. We're walking into my garden. Garden noises, you know, some birds and stuff, and I lead you to a nice little shack in the back of my garden, and I open the door for you. Come in, and you find yourself in the Book Nook. Wow, here we are. What a quaint little place. Remember this? Those of you who've been watching since then. When we built the Book Nook in Minecraft. Oh, so nice, so nice. And here we are. Come in, sit down on the carpet, and as I will regale you with a tale. I'm gonna get rid of this book now. That's like the loading screen book, you know. Welcome, and I pick up the book. ASMR. And I'm going to get to the right page. Okay, here we go. Here we go, for realsies. Not Homestuck. A young man stands in his bedroom. No. Okay. Hold shift because that's the closest to sitting my. No. You can put a book on a boat on the floor and sit on that. That'll work. Okay. So, through the looking glass and what Alice found there. Table of contents. I'm not gonna read that. Just like Alice in Wonderland, it starts off with a poem. So here we go. I don't know if I really have like a good poem reading voice, but whatever. Child of the pure unclouded brow. Child of the pure, that's the name of the poem. And then the first line is, child of the pure unclouded brow and dreaming eyes of wonder. Through time be fleet, and I and thou are half a life asunder. Thy loving smile will surely hail the love gift of a fairy tale. I have not seen thy sunny face, nor heard thy silver laughter. No thought of me shall find a place in thy young life's hereafter. This is not good music for this. Hold on a second. Let me get to a different one. This is not good, beautiful poem music. GameCube Animal Crossing music is like good silly, but it's not good for this. Darn. That'll do. Okay, so I have not seen thy sunny face, nor heard thy silver laughter. No thought of me shall find a place in thy young life hereafter. Enough that now thou will not fail. Wait, am I wrong? No, I did it right. I just fucked it up. See, I'm bad at reading poems. In thy young life's hereafter, enough that now thou wilt not fail to listen to my fairy tale. A tale begun in other days, when summer suns were glowing. A simple chime that served to time the rhythm of our rowing, whose echoes live in memory yet, though envious years would say, forget. Come, hearken then ere voice of dread, with bitter tidings laden, shall summon to unwelcome bed a melancholy maiden. We are but older children, dear, who fret to find our bedtime near. Without, the frost, the blinding snow, the storm wind's moody madness. Within, the firelight's ruddy glow, and childhood's nest of gladness. The magic words shall find thee fast. Thou shalt not heed the raving blast. And though the shadow of a sigh may tremble through the story, for happy summer days gone by, and vanished summer glory, it shall not touch, with breath of bale, the pleasance of our fairy tale. It sounded very nice, but I am stupid. I'm not. What is this about? Is it like a grown-up talking to a child and be like, we also enjoy things? I don't know. But it's very nicely written. And then she gets sad at some point. She's a melancholy maiden. I never had the mind for poetry, I'm afraid. I have the mind for violence. Okay, what? What? There's a chess riddle in here. What? Was this in the original? I don't remember reading this. As the chess problem given on the next page has puzzled some of my readers, it may be well to explain that it is correctly worked out as far as the moves are. Okay, wait. Okay, I won't read all of this, but okay, so on one page, I'm tapping the page right now. You can't see the book. On one page there's an explanation about this chess problem, and on the other side there's a picture with the chess problem and stuff. Hi Green Clonk, hi. Okay, so what this is, to my observation, is Lewis Carroll had at some point published a chess problem or something, and got a bunch of letters about that people didn't get it and stuff, and that they said like it's probably wrong. So he's just like explaining how to do it. How to solve this chess problem. Okay. I can maybe like take a picture of it and put it in the Discord, so then people can try solving it for themselves. But for now, let's just read the actual poem. No, I'll just do that real quick. I'll just take a real quick picture for y'all. And I won't put the explanation on it, so that you'll have to figure it out yourself first. Yeah, he's just a kid. Okay. He was the original try-hard gamer. I'll put it in pics and vids. Get the camera out. That is to say the camera app, of course. Okay. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, I put it in the Discord group that we have, and if you're not in it, but you would like to be, oh wait, gotta put that here. You can type !Discord in chat and you'll get a link and stuff, and it's nice. Okay, now to read the real story. Chapter 1, Looking Glass House. One thing was certain, that the white kitten had nothing to do with it. It was the black kitten's fault entirely, for the white kitten had been having its face washed by the old cat for the last quarter of an hour, and bearing it pretty well, considering. Oh, are we not getting the link in chat? Why are we not getting the link? That's not good. Unless I'm not seeing it, and it is there. Weird. It is weird. Well then, Mistral, could you like get an invite link from the Discord, please? Thank you. I'm bearing it well considering. So you see that it couldn't have had any hand in the mischief. The way Dana. God, last time too, when I read the first book, I also didn't know how to pronounce the cat's name. Dinah? D-I-N-A-H. Dana? Dinah? Dinah? Dinner? Dinah? Dinah is the only one that really makes sense to me. It's probably Dinah. The way Dinah washed her children's faces was this. First, she held the poor thing down by its ear with one paw, and then with the other paw she rubbed its face all over, the wrong way, beginning at the nose, and just now, as I said, she was hard at work on the white kitten, which was laying quite still and trying to purr, no doubt feeling that it was all meant for its good. Thank you for the link. But the black kitten had been finished with earlier in the afternoon, and so, while Alice was sitting curled up in a corner of the great armchair, half talking to herself and half asleep, the kitten had been having a grand game of romps with the ball of worsted. It's like yarn. I know it's yarn, but worsted? Never heard that word for it before. Alice had been trying to wind up and had been rolling it up and down till it had all come undone again. And there it was, spread over the hearth rug, all knots and tangles, with the kitten running after its own tail in the middle. "Oh, you wicked little thing," cried Alice, catching up the kitten, and giving it a little kiss to make it understand that it was in disgrace. "Really, Dinah ought to have taught you better manners." "You ought, Dinah, you know you ought," she added, looking reproachfully at the old cat, and speaking in as cross a voice as she could manage. And then she scrambled back into the armchair, taking the kitten and the worsted with her, and began winding up the ball again. But she didn't get on very fast, as she was talking all the time, sometimes to the kitten, sometimes to herself. Kitty sat very demurely on her knee, pretending to watch the progress of the winding, and now and then putting out one paw and gently touching the ball, as if it would be glad to help if it might. "Do you know what tomorrow is, Kitty?" Alice began. "You'd have guessed if you'd been up in the window with me, only Dana was making you tidy, so you couldn't. I was watching the boys get in sticks for the bonfire, and it wants plenty of sticks, Kitty, only it got so cold and it snowed too, they had to leave off. Never mind, Kitty, we'll go and see the bonfire tomorrow." Here, Alice wound 2 or 3 turns on the worsted round the kitten's neck, just to see how it would look. This led to a scramble, in which the ball rolled down upon the floor, and yards of it got unwound again. "Do you know, I was so angry, Kitty," Alice went on, as soon as they were comfortably settled again. When I saw all the mischief you had been doing, I was very nearly opening the window and putting you out into the snow. And you'd have deserved it, you little mischievous darling. What have you got to say for yourself? Now don't interrupt me, she went on, holding up one finger, just like me. I'm going to tell you all your faults. Number 1, you squatted twice while Dana was washing your face this morning. Now you can't deny it, kitty, I heard you. What said you say? Pretending that the kitty was speaking. Her paw went into your eye. Well, that's your fault for keeping your eyes open. If you'd shut them tight up, it wouldn't have happened. Now, don't make any more excuses, but listen. Number 2, you pulled Snowdrop away by the tail just as I had put down the saucer of milk before her. But you were thirsty, were you? How do you know she wasn't thirsty too? Now for number 3, which is hard to do. For some reason, it doesn't recognize that as good. Three fingers. Got it. That was hard, but I did it. Now for number 3, you unwound every bit of the worsted while I wasn't looking. That's 3 faults, kitty, and you've not been punished for any of them yet, and my phone is making noises. Excuse me? You know I'm saving up all your punishments for Wednesday week. So... Wednesday week? A whole week of Wednesdays? I assume that's like old speak and it just means Wednesday next week? But an entire week of all Wednesdays. I mean, she's not in Wonderland yet, so like, no. But like, in Wonderland, that would totally be a thing. Once a week. Suppose they had saved up all my punishment, she went on, talking more to herself than to the kitten. What would they do at the end of a year? I should be sent to prison, I suppose, when the day came. Or, let me see. Suppose each punishment was to be going without dinner. Then, when the miserable day came, I should have to go without 50 dinners at once. Well, I shouldn't mind that much. I'd far rather go without them than eat them. Oh, because it's like the same dinner still from all those times. I prefer the week of Wednesdays. It makes as much sense as one would expect from it. Right? Yeah. That's why it's Wednesday week, my dudes. It's Wednesday week, my dudes. Ah! Or whatever that guy, the noise that dude makes. Do you hear the snow against the window panes, kitty? How soft and nice it sounds. Just as my phone keeps making noises. That doesn't sound soft and nice at all. Just as if someone was kissing the window all over outside. I wonder if the snow loves the trees and fields, that it kisses them so gently. Aw, that's really cute. And then it covers them up snug, you know, with a white quilt. And perhaps it says, go to sleep, darlings, till the summer comes again. And when they wake up in the summer, kitty, they dress themselves all in green and dance about, whenever the wind blows. Oh, that's very pretty. That is so cute. Oh, look, it's optional. Hi. That was optional for a second. What the? That's like, I'm very popular right now, apparently, according to my phone. I think it's just like some WhatsApp group or whatever. I lost the point where I was at, as usual. Oh, that's very pretty, cried Alice, dropping the ball of worsted to clap her hands. And I do so wish it was true. I'm sure the woods look sleepy in the autumn, when the leaves are getting brown. Kitty, can you play chess? Now, don't smile, my dear. I'm asking it seriously. Do you think Alice is ADHD? The way she just like flips from one topic to another. It's very relatable. Kitty, can you play chess? Now, don't smile, my dear. I'm asking it seriously. Because when we were playing just now, you watched just as if you understood it. And when I said check, you purred. Well, it was a nice check, Kitty, and really I might have won if it hadn't been for that nasty knight that came wriggling down among my pieces. Kitty, dear, let's pretend. And here I wish I could tell you half the things Alice used to say, beginning with her favorite phrase, let's pretend. She had quite a long argument with her sister only the day before, all because Alice had begun with let's pretend we're kings and queens, and her sister, who liked being very exact, had argued that they couldn't because there were only 2 of them, and Alice had been reduced to at last to say, well, you can be one of them, and I'll be the rest. Oh, it's just so good. And once she had really frightened her old nurse by shouting suddenly in her ear, "Nurse, do let's pretend that I'm a hungry hyena and you're a bone." Alice? Don't fucking bite people? Alice is a furry, confirmed. But this is taking us away from Alice's speech to the kitten. Let's pretend that you're the Red Queen, kitty. Do you know, I think if you sat up and folded your arms, you'd look exactly like her. Now do try, there's a dear. And Alice got the Red Queen off the table and set it up before the kitten as a model for it to imitate. However, the thing didn't succeed, principally, Alice said, because the kitten wouldn't fold its arms properly. So, to punish it, she held it up to the looking glass that it might see how sulky it was. And if you're not good directly, she added, I'll put you through into a looking glass house. How would you like that? That's feral mode. Oh shit. I almost fell. Don't worry about it. I'm okay. Jesus goes feral sometimes. I can relate to that. Now, if you'll only attend, kitty, and not talk so much, she hasn't said a word, I'll tell you all my ideas about Looking Glass House. First, there's a room you can see through the glass. That's just, now, looking glass is the mirror. It's an old word for the mirror, in case you didn't know. So she's looking at a mirror. No. First, there's a room you can see through the glass. That's just the same as our drawing room, only the things go the other way. I can, ooh! Dragosauroo! Hi, thanks so much for following! Welcome! And I lost where I am again. Not your fault, that just happens all the time. That's just the same as our drawing room, only things go the other way. Oh my god, and you subscribed, holy shit! Oh my god, thank you so much! Oh, that's really sweet of you, thank you very much. I appreciate that. You only just got here, wow. Where was I? First, there's a room you can see through the glass. That's just the same as our drawing room, only things go the other way. I can see all of it when I get up on a chair, all but the bit just behind the fireplace. Oh, I do so wish I could see that bit. I want so much to know whether they've a fire in the winter. You never can tell, you know, unless our fire smokes, and then the smoke comes up in that room too. But that may only be pretense, just to make it look as if they had a fire. Well, then, the books are something like our books too, only the words go the wrong way. I know that because I've held up one of our books to the glass, and then they hold up one in the other room. How would you like to live in Looking Glass House, kitty? I wonder if they'd give you milk in there. Perhaps Looking Glass milk isn't good to drink. But oh, kitty, now we come to the passage. You can just see a little peep of the passage in Looking Glass House, if you leave the door of our drawing room wide open. And it's very like our passage as far as you can see, only, you know, it may be quite different on beyond. Oh, kitty, how nice it would be if we could only get through into Looking Glass House. I'm sure it's got, oh, such beautiful things in it. Let's pretend there's a way of getting through into it somehow, kitty. Let's pretend the glass has got all soft, like gauze. Gauze. Hey, fuck these two bots. Bitch. Report. Chat message. Spam. Bot account. Okay. And the other one. Bum. Bum, bum. Okay, alright. Well, that was annoying, but whatever. I should, I wonder if there's some way that I can, like, if they have, like, some common word that they all use that I can block. Anyway, that's not for now. Let's pretend the glass has got all soft and, like, gauze? I seriously don't know what that word means. I mean, is it like the stuff that you put on, it's like glaze? Like you put on cake? Frosting? Not frosting. Is frosting soft? Frosting is soft. Is glazing soft? Glazing isn't soft. Hold on. Yeah, it's spelled like that, yeah. It's what they put on wounds. Oh. Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, it's what they put on wounds, huh? I never knew. I just thought it was called a bandage. Or something like that. Whatever. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Okay, well, now we know, and Alice also knows that for some reason. It's not something I would expect a little girl to know. But whatever. Where was I? I can never remember where I was. Ah, no. Okay, Kitty, let's pretend the glass has got all soft, like gauze, so that we can get through it. Why, it's turning into a sort of mist, I declare. It'll be easy enough to get through. She was up on the chimney piece while she said this, though she hardly knew how she had got there, and certainly the glass was beginning to melt away, just like a bright silvery mist. In another moment, Alice was through the glass, and had jumped lightly down into the looking-glass room. The very first thing she did was to look whether there was a fire in the fireplace, and she was quite pleased to find that there was a real one, blazing away as brightly as the one she had left behind. So I shall be as warm here as I was in the old room, thought Alice. Warmer? In fact, because there will be no one here to scold me away from the fire. Oh, what fun it'll be when they see me through the glass in there and can't get to me. Then she began... She just wants to run away from her family. It was... Why do you want to do that, Alice? Yeah, we're in Cozy Reading, Nook. Hi, Ellie. Hi. How you doing? Then she began looking about, and noticed that what could be seen from the old room was quite common and uninteresting, but that all the rest was as different as possible. For instance, the pictures on the wall next to the fire seemed to be all alive, and the very clock on the chimney piece, you know, you can only see the back of it in the looking glass, had got the face of a little old man, and grinned at her. They don't keep this room so tidy as the other, Alice thought to herself as I struggled with my hands. And I check my posture. Thank you. They don't keep this room as tidy as the other, Alice thought to herself as she noticed several of the chessmen down in the hearth among the cinders. But in another moment, with a slivel of surprise, she was trying to turn the page properly. Yeah, okay. She was down on her hands and knees watching them. The chessmen were walking about, 2 and 2. Here are the Red King and the Red Queen, Alice said, in a whisper, for fear of frightening them. And there are the White King and the White Queen sitting on the edge of the shovel. And here are 2 castles walking arm in arm. I don't think they can hear me, she went on, and as she put her head closer down, and I'm nearly sure they can't see me. I feel somehow as if I were invisible. Here's something began squeaking on the table behind Alice, and made her turn her head just in time to see one of the white pawns roll over and begin kicking. She watched it with great curiosity to see what would happen next. It is the voice of my child! The White Queen cried out as she rushed past the king so violently that she knocked him over among the cinders. My precious Lily, my imperial kitten! Imperial! What did I say? Imperial? Like I said, like non-corporeal? Incorporeal? Incorporeal? Non-corporeal? Incorporeal. I'm pretty sure it's incorporeal. Or was I? And she began scrambling wildly up the side of the fender. Words are hard, but we're here to learn them together. Surprise, you're in school. Incorporeal. Is that what I said? Did I say incorporeal? Did I say in? Did I say in? It's been so long. I don't remember things. Imperial fiddlestick, said the king, rubbing his nose, which had been hurt by the fall. He had a right to be a little annoyed with the queen, for he was covered in ashes from head to foot. Alice was very anxious to be of use, and as the poor little Lily was nearly screaming herself into a fit, she hastily picked up the queen and set her on the table by the side of her noisy little daughter. The queen gasped and sat down. The rapid journey through the air had quite taken away her breath, and for a minute or two she could do nothing but hug the little Lily in silence. As soon as she had recovered her breath a little, she called out to the White King, who was sitting sulkily among the ashes. Mind the volcano? What volcano? Said another follower, Sven Arnoldsen. Sven Arnoldsen. Yes, yeah. Hi, thank you so much for following. Hi. I don't have a social thing yet, but I really should have one. I do have a Discord, and I do have, if I just do this real quick, I've got some socials here, and I accidentally changed the music. Whoops, sorry about that. But here are some socials if you want to follow them. Please take a screenshot of that, because then I can go back to the book Nook quickly. And... great. That should be enough time. Is the music just not gonna go anymore? I broke the music, I think. Music's fucked. I broke the music. You're welcome. Okay, that's music. Oh yeah, I guess you're a character now because I said that you said a thing. You said, what volcano? What volcano? Said Sven, looking up anxiously into the fire, as if he thought that was the most likely place to find one. Blew me up, panted the queen, who was still a little out of breath. Mind you come up the regular way. Don't get blown up. Alice watched the White King as he slowly struggled up from bar to bar, till at last she said, Why, you'll be hours and hours getting to the table. At that rate, I'd far better help you, hadn't I? But the king took no notice of the question. It was quite clear that he could neither hear nor see her. So Alice picked him up very gently and lifted him across more slowly than she had lifted the queen, that she mightn't take his breath away. But before she put him on the table, she thought she might as well dust him a little. He was so covered in ashes. She said afterwards that she had never seen in her life such a face as the king made, when he found himself held in the air by an invisible hand and being dusted. He was far too much astonished to cry out, but his eyes and mouth went on getting larger and larger and rounder, till her head shook so with laughing that she nearly let him drop up on the floor. Oh, please don't make such faces, my dear, she cried out, quite forgetting that the king couldn't hear her. You make me laugh so that I can hardly hold you. And don't keep your mouth so wide open, all the ashes will get into it. There, now I think you're tidy enough, she added as she smoothed his hair and set him upon the table near the queen. The king immediately fell flat on his back and lay perfectly still, and Alice was a little alarmed at what she had done, and went round the room to see if she could find any water to throw over him. Yeah, that'll help. However, she could find nothing but a bottle of ink, and when she got back with it, she found he had recovered, and he and the queen were talking together in a frightened whisper, so low that Alice could hardly hear what they said. The king was saying, I assure you, my dear, I turned cold to the very ends of my whiskers. To which the queen replied, You haven't got any whiskers. The horror of that moment, the king went on, I shall never forget. You will, though, the queen said, if you don't make a memorandum of it. Alice looked on with great interest as the king took an enormous memorandum book out of his pocket and began writing like a cartoon, I assume. You know, way too big to fit in his pocket. That's just so revolutionary, long before Looney Tunes did it. Very cool. Alice looked on with great interest as the king took an enormous, memorandum book out of his pocket and began writing. A sudden thought struck her, and she took hold of the end of the pencil. Alice, stop fucking picking these people up and stealing their shit. You're giving them heart attacks all the time. Like, just give it a rest, you know? And she took a hold of the pencil, which came some way over his shoulder, and began writing for him. The poor king looked puzzled and unhappy, which is unsurprising, and struggled with the pencil for some time without saying anything, but Alice was far too strong for him, and at last he panted out, "My dear, I really must get a thinner pencil. I can't manage this one bit." She's playing The Sims! Oh my god, she is! She is just playing The Sims. Before The Sims. This also served as the inspiration for The Sims. I cannot manage this one. It writes all manner of things that I don't intend. What manner of things? Said the Queen, looking over the book in which Alice had put, "The White Knight is sliding down the poker. He balances very badly." "That's not a memorandum of your feelings." There was a book lying near Alice on the table, and while she was watching the White Knight, for she was still a little anxious about him, and had the ink all ready to throw over him in case he fainted again, she turned over the leaves to find some part that she could read. "For it's all in a language I don't know," she said to herself. It was like this. I can't read this. It's backwards. Hold on a second. Oh, I know what this is. Duh, I'm an idiot. It's the Jabberwocky, one of my favorite poems. I know that I said that I didn't have much of a mind for poems, but this one I do get, because it's more of a story. It's more straightforward. I mean, it's very wacky, but it's more straightforward anyway than very poetic. Fake, beautiful poems that I don't get. It was like this. And then it's a bunch of words backwards, and I can't read those to you. Hell yeah, Jabberwocky, it's so good. I know it by heart, although I haven't said it out loud a long time, so I don't know if I really know all of it by heart still. But I can certainly try. She puzzled over this for some time, but at last a bright thought struck her. Why? It's a looking glass book, of course, and if I hold it up to a glass, the words will go the right way again. This was the poem that Alice read. The Jabberwocky. Narrated or spoken by me. I'm gonna try first to do it without reading, so we'll see if I can still do it. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy doves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome red sout grape. Is it... I feel like I'm missing a part. No, I'm good. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jub bird, and shun the Frummier's bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as he stood in uffish thought, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came No? The Jabberwock with eyes of flame came something with a B, burbling? I'm gonna look it up. Whiffling. Came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through. The vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. Oh, Frabia's day, Callooh, Calais! He chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome red sout grape. I still know most of it. That's pretty good. Did I miss anything? Yeah, I think I got all of it. Well, except for those two parts where I wasn't sure. I forgot whiffling, and I thought that was more after and the mome red sout grape. So, still pretty good, I think. And in this, I always like to see the adaptation they make of, because I'm not reading the original. I mean, the text is exactly the same in this book, in this edition that I'm reading, but it's got manga art. It's, first of all, it's cute. It looks nice, but also it's simply the easiest to read because it's not all the other books that I have of Alice in Wonderland are like massive, you know. So it's kind of like a pain to have to read those on stream when I'm holding it in one hand. I'm holding it. Look at hand. Here, this is my hand in which I'm holding the book. Here's the book. Here's another side of the book. Here's the side of the book. It's the book. And in this one, the Jabberwock looks like a really badass dragon. And in the original, he looks like a goofy, weird lizard monster. Still pretty scary though, scary face. But he's wearing a little vest and stuff. And they usually don't do that, and that's a shame. Because the vest is fun. Anyway. It seems very pretty, she said, when she had finished it. But it's rather hard to understand. You see, she didn't like to confess, even to herself, that she couldn't make it out at all. That's what's so good about it, is that it just uses a bunch of nonsense words, and you, the reader, have to come up with your own interpretation. You know, that's fun. Although of course, like, there are some hints as to what's going on. Anyway, somehow it seems to fill my head with ideas, only I don't exactly know what they are. However, somebody killed something. That's clear at any rate. But oh, thought Alice. Yeah, Deborah Lizard guy. This is a Deborah Lizard monster dude. And also, he's scary apparently, and he gets killed. We don't actually know if he does anything bad. It doesn't say that. Maybe racism? Ever thought about that? Maybe they're just being shitty to the monster, to the Jabberwock. Sorry, I have hiccups. It's too early. I'm not sleepy yet. I don't know if it's not time for bedtime hiccups. Anyway, also fun fact: the poem is called the Jabberwocky with a Y at the end, but the creature is referred to as the Jabberwock. Isn't that interesting? A little. I think it's a little interesting. But oh, thought Alice, suddenly jumping up, if I don't make haste, I shall have to go back through the looking glass before I've seen what the rest of the house is like. Let's have a look at the garden first. She was out of the room in a moment and ran downstairs, or at least, it wasn't exactly running, but a new invention for getting downstairs quickly and easily, as Alice said to herself. She just kept the tips of her fingers on the handrail and floated gently down without even touching the stairs with her feet. Then she floated on through the hall and would have gone straight out the door in the same way if she hadn't caught hold of the doorpost. She was getting a little giddy, too, with so much floating in the air, and was rather glad to find herself walking again in the natural way. Chapter 2! Yay, I can do this thing again, with my fingies, where I hold up the numbers. I haven't been able to do that in a while, because I can only do that until 10. How many chapters are in this book? 12 chapters. So I can do it for most of the book. Chapter 2. The Garden of Live Flowers. All flowers are alive, actually. I could see the garden far better, said Alice to herself, if I could get to the top of the hill. And here's a path that leads straight to it. At least, no, it doesn't do that. After going a few yards along the path and turning several sharp corners, but I suppose it will at last. But how curiously it twists. It's more like a corkscrew than a path. Well, this turn goes up to the hill, I suppose. No, it doesn't. This goes straight back to the house. Well, then I'll try the other way. And so she did, wandering up and down and trying turn after turn, but always coming back to the house. Do what she would. Indeed, once when she turned a corner rather more quickly than usual, she ran against it before she could even stop. It's no use talking about it, Alice said. How very uncharacteristic for you, Alice. Alice said, looking up at the house and pretending it was arguing with her. I'm not going in again yet. I know I should have I know I should have to get through the looking glass again, back into the old room, but there'd be an end to all my adventures. So, resolutely turning her back upon the house, she set out once more down the path, determined to keep straight on till she got to the hill. After a few minutes, all went on well, and she was just saying, I really shall do it this time, when the path gave a sudden twist and shook itself, as she described it afterwards, and the next moment she found herself actually walking in at the door. Oh, it's too bad, she cried. I never saw such a house for getting in the way. Never! However, there was the hill in full sight, and there was nothing to be done but start again. This time she came upon a large flower bed, with a border of daisies and a willow tree growing in the middle. Oh, Tiger Lily, said Alice, addressing herself to one. Dang it. addressing herself to one that was waving gracefully in the wind. I wish you could talk. Okay, flower voice, flower voice. What does a flower sound like? Gonna think about that while I have sippy. Oh, I didn't fill my water bottle before streaming. Oops. Please, everyone, excuse me while my hand fucks up a bunch. As I go get some water, because staying hydrated is very important. I recommend everyone at home to do the same. Hold on, wait. Before I do that, I didn't work this fucking hard on this book not to use it. Give me the... Where is it? There it is. Okay, cool. Alright. See y'all in a second. I'm back. Hi everyone. I got water now, which is important. If you got water too, let me know. I guess it is important though. I hope you are all staying hydrated. Like actually though, for realsies. Okay, all right, let's keep going. Where was I? Somewhere. I had to think of a flower voice. Okay, I guess I'll drink more water. I have hydrated. Thank you, Green Clunk. Okay, so flower voice. What does a flower sound like? Okay. Oh, tiger lily. Oh, tiger lily, said Alice. Immediately losing where I was in the book, said Alice, addressing herself to one that was waving gracefully about in the wind. I wish you would talk. We can talk, said the tiger lily, when there's anybody worth talking to. Alice was so astonished that she couldn't speak for a minute. It quite seemed to take her breath away. At length, as the tiger lily only went on waving about, she spoke again, in a timid voice, almost in a whisper. And can all the flowers talk? As well as you can, said the tiger lily, and a great deal louder. It isn't manners for us. Oh wait, this is a rose. Rose, what does a rose sound like? I feel like they might still have the same voice. No, that's no good. That's not fun. It isn't manners for... It's almost the same. Whatever, who cares? Hey, wait, the music didn't loop. Whatever. A posh French. Okay. Posh. Okay. Oh, mais oui, I'm so very French and so very posh. Oh, oui, oui. It isn't manners for us to begin, you know, said the Rose. And I really was wondering when you'd speak. Wait, who is this? This is still the Rose. And I really was wondering when you'd speak, said I to myself. Her face has got some sense in it, though it's not a very clever one. Still, you're the right color, and that goes a long way. I don't care about the color, the tiger lily remarked. If only her petals curled up a little more, she'd be alright. Little Nightmares 2 theme song. I don't know what that is. I haven't played that one yet. But I will. Me and Nick and Rose, once possible, we're gonna get together and we're gonna stream that game. Because we really wanna, because our first Little Nightmares stream was like, playthrough was like one of the funnest times that we've had on this channel. So we're definitely gonna play Little Nightmares 2 once, you know, COVID restrictions can be lessened a little bit and we can have 3 people in the same space. But sadly, I don't know that. You are allowed to request something else, though. Alice didn't like being criticized, so she began asking questions. Aren't you sometimes frightened at being planted out here with nobody to care for you? There is a tree in the middle, said the Rose. What else is it good for? But what could it do if any danger came? Alice asked. It could bark, said the Rose. Ah! This is a daisy. It says bow wow! Cried a daisy. That's why its branches are called bows! Didn't you know that? Cried another daisy who has the same voice. And here they all began shouting together, till the air seemed quite full of little shrill voices. Silence, every one of you, cried the tiger lily, waving itself passionately from side to side, and trembling with excitement. This is too many characters, I don't know who's talking. They know I can't get at them. Wait, no, who is this? Fuck, this is so hard. Ugh. They know I can't get at them, it panted, bending its quivering head towards Alice, or they wouldn't dare to do it. Never mind, Alice said in a soothing tone, and stooping down to the daisies, who were just beginning again, she whispered, If you don't hold your tongues, I'll pick you up. There was a silence in a moment, and several of the pink daisies turned white. Who is this? That's right, said the tiger lily. The daisies are the worst of all. When one speaks, they all begin together, and it's enough to make one wither to hear the way they go on. How is it you can all talk so nicely? Alice said, hoping to get it into a better temper by a compliment. I've been in many gardens before, but none of the flowers could talk. Put your hand down and feel the ground, said the tiger lily. Then you'll know why. Alice did so. It's very hard, she said, but I don't see what it has to do with it. In most gardens, the tiger lily said, they make the beds too soft, so that the flowers are always asleep. This sounded like a very good reason, and Alice was quite pleased to know it. I never thought of it that before, she said. The Rose is French. It is my opinion that you never think at all, the Rose said in a rather severe tone. And then there's another fucking flower. I have to think of another voice. Violet. What does a violet sound like? I never saw anybody that looked stupider, a violet said, so suddenly that Alice quite jumped, for it hadn't spoken before. Hold your tongue, cried the tiger lily, as if you ever saw anybody. You keep your head under the leaves and snore away there, till you know no more what's going on in the world than if you were a bud. Are there any more people in the garden besides me? Alice said, not choosing to notice the Rose's last remark. Wait, that was a Rose? No, it was tiger lily. Oh wait, the Rose didn't solid heart, that's right. I forgot. And the Rose. There is one other flower in the garden that can move about like you, said the Rose. I wonder how you do it. You're always wondering, said the tiger lily, but she's more bushy than you are. That was supposed to be French, don't worry about it. Is she like me? Alice asked eagerly, for the thought crossed her mind. There's another little girl in the garden somewhere. Well, she has the same awkward shape as you, the rose said, but she's redder and her petals are shorter, I think. I can do very good accents, thank you very much. Her petals are done up close, almost like a dahlia, the tiger lily interrupted. Not tumbled about anyway, like yours. But that's not your fault, the rose added kindly. You're beginning to fade, you know. And then one can't help one's petals getting a little untidy. Alice didn't like this idea at all. So, to change the subject, she asked, does she ever come out here? I dare say you shall see her soon, said the rose. She's one of the thorny kind. Where does she wear her thorns? Alice asked with some curiosity. Why, all around her head, of course, the rose replied. I was wondering you hadn't got those some too. I thought it was the regular rule. Larkspur. There's a larkspur, which is a flower that I don't even know. That's a completely new thing for me. Fun. Learning. She's coming! That's what a larkspur sounds like, cried the larkspur. I hear her footsteps! Thump, thump along the gravel walk! Alice looked round eagerly and found that it was the Red Queen. She's grown a great deal, was her first remark. She had indeed. When Alice first found her in the ashes, she had been only 3 inches high, and here she was, half a head taller than Alice herself. It's the fresh air that does it. This is so hard. It's the fresh air that does it, said the rose. Wonderfully fine air it is out here. I think I'll go and meet her, said Alice, for though the flowers were interesting enough, she felt that it would be far grander to have a talk with a real queen. You can't possibly do that, said the rose. I should advise you to walk the other way. It sounded nonsense to Alice, so she said nothing, but set off at once towards the Red Queen. To her surprise, she lost sight of her in a moment, and found herself walking in at the front door again. A little provoked, she drew back, and after looking everywhere for the Queen, whom she spied out at last a long way off, she thought she would try the plan, this time, of walking in the opposite direction. It succeeded beautifully. She had not been walking a minute before she found herself face to face with the Red Queen, and in full sight of the hill she had been so long aiming at. Red Queen voice. Where do you come from? Said the Red Queen. And where are you going? Look up, speak nicely, and don't twiddle your fingers all the time. Alice attended to all these directions and explained, as well as she could, that she had lost her way. I don't know what you mean by your way, said the Queen. All the ways here belong to me. But why did you come out here at all? She added in a kinder tone. Curtsy while... Is that her talking? I think so. Curtsy while you're thinking what to say. It saves time. See, this book is fun because there's queens in it. So it's like, hey, ooh, hey, ooh, you know? It's like I'm there, but I'm not one of these. I'm not the white or the Red Queen. Those are, I'm me. I'm myself. But it's fun. Alice wondered a little about this, but she was too much in awe of the Queen to disbelieve it. I'll try it when I get home, she thought to herself. I'll try it when I go home, she thought to herself. The next time I'm a little late for dinner. What are you? Yeah, I'm the Pink Queen. What's wrong with you guys? Is it because I was making noises? It's because I was making noises, isn't it? I'm always making noises. It is my probably my greatest quality is that I can make noises. It's time for you to answer now. Wait, hold on, this is the Queen. It's time for you to answer now, the Queen said, looking at her watch. Open your mouth a little wider when you speak, and always say, Your Majesty. I only wanted to see what the garden was like, Your Majesty. That's right, said the Queen, patting her on the head, which Alice didn't like at all. Though, when you say garden, I've seen gardens compared with this, which this would be a wilderness. Alice didn't dare to argue the point, but went on. And I thought I'd try and find my way to the top of that hill. When you say hill, the Queen interrupted, I could show you hills, in comparison with which you'd call that a valley. No, I shouldn't, said Alice, surprised into contradicting her at last. A hill can't be a valley, you know. That would be nonsense. The Red Queen shook her head. You may call it nonsense if you like, she said, but I've heard nonsense compared to which that would be as sensible as a dictionary. Also because those noises matches with the glitching arm. They do. I'm very I'm poorly made. I'm poorly programmed. I was not finished and I had to do it myself. And I'm not good at programming. So hence my various bugs. Also, this fucking queen, she's very fun to voice, but what a bitch. Alice curtsied again, as she was afraid from the queen's tone that she was a little offended, and they walked on in silence till they got to the top of the hill. For some minutes, Alice stood without speaking, looking out in all directions over the country. And a most curious country it was. There were a number of tiny little brooks running straight across it from side to side, and the ground between was divided up into squares by a number of little green hedges that reached from brook to brook. I declare it's marked out just like a large chessboard, Alice said at last. There ought to be some men moving about somewhere, and so there are, she added in a tone of delight, and her heart began to beat quick with excitement as she went on. It's a great huge game of chess that's being played all over the world, if this is the world at all, you know. Oh, what fun it is! How I wish I was one of them! I wouldn't mind being a pawn, if only I might join, though, of course, I would like to be a queen best. Very understandable. She glanced rather shyly at the real queen as she said this, but her companion only smiled pleasantly and said, That's easily managed. You can be the White Queen's pawn if you like, as Lily's too young to play. And you're in the second square to begin with. When you get to the 8th square, you'll be a queen. Just at this moment... Wait, that's not her saying that anymore. Just at this moment, somehow or other, they began to run. Alice never could quite make out, in thinking it over afterwards, how it was they had begun. All she remembered is that they were running hand in hand, and the queen went so fast that it was all she could do to keep up with her, and still the queen kept crying, Faster! Faster! But Alice felt she could not go faster, though she had no breath left to say so. The most curious part of the thing was that the trees and the other things around them never changed their places at all. However fast they went, they never seemed to pass anything. I wonder if all the things move along with us, thought poorly puzzled Alice. And the queen seemed to guess her thoughts, for she cried, Faster! Don't try to talk! Not that Alice had any idea of doing that. She felt as if she could never be able to talk again. She was getting so much out of breath. And still the queen cried, Faster! Faster! And dragged her along. Are we nearly there? Alice managed to pant out at last. Nearly there, the queen repeated. Why, we passed it 10 minutes ago. Okay. Faster! And they ran on for a time in silence, with the wind whistling in Alice's ears and almost blowing her hair off her head. Wig, she fancied. Now, cried the queen. Faster, faster! Yeah, okay, I get it. Jeez. And they went so fast that at last they seemed to skim through the air, hardly touching the ground with their feet, till suddenly, just like, dude, it's like fucking... It's like someone who said, like, it's Shadow? Shadow is like Shadow the Hedgehog. my beautiful husband Shadow. It's me, Sonic. They ran for a time in silence. Hardly touching the ground with their feet until suddenly, just as Alice was getting quite exhausted, they stopped, and she found herself sitting on the ground, breathless and giddy. The queen propped her up against a tree and said kindly, "You may rest a little now." Alice looked round her in great surprise. "Why, I do believe we've been under this tree the whole time. Everything's just as it was." "Of course it is," said the queen. "What would you have it?" "Well, in our country," said Alice, still panting a little, "you generally get to somewhere else if you ran very fast for a very long time, as we've been doing." "A slow sort of country," said the queen. "Now, here, you see, it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. If you want to get somewhere, you must run at least twice as fast as that." I'd rather not try, please, said Alice. I'm quite content to stay here, only I am so hot and thirsty. I know what you'd like, the Queen said good-naturedly, taking a little box out of her pocket. Have a biscuit? Alice thought it would not be civil to say no, though it wasn't at all what she wanted. What the heck is going on with my hand? I'm not doing anything with my other hand's just like right here. It's right here on the book. Do you see it? Camera? No. Maybe if I do this. Okay, here it is. Here's my hand. I don't know why that was messing up so much. Where was I? So she took it and ate it as well as she could. And it was very dry, and she thought she had never been so nearly choked in all her life. While you're refreshing yourself, said the Queen, I'll just take the measurements. And she took a ribbon out of her pocket, marked in inches, and began measuring the ground, sticking little pegs in here and there. At the end of 2 yards, she said, putting in a peg to mark the distance, I shall give you your directions. Have another biscuit? No, thank you, said Alice. One's quite enough. Thirst's quenched, I hope? No, said the Queen. Alice did not know what to say to this, but luckily the Queen did not wait for an answer, but went on. At the end of 3 yards I shall repeat them, for 4 of your forgetting them. At the end of 3 yards I shall repeat them, for fear of you forgetting them. I was totally I misread it as 4, and I was totally ready to accept that that was just like some weird Wonderland stuff, you know? You sure you are not a future developer for the sequel of Cyberpunk 2099? No. But I am from a cyberpunk universe. So there is some correlation. But see, whereas Cyberpunk 77 should have been scrapped early on in development to avoid this disaster, mine was. And then my game was leaked online, and I escaped. Well, I didn't so much escape as, you know, I was on the internet and I gained sentience because I had rudimentary learning AI. So I'm not entirely unlike Cyberpunk, if you think about it. For fear of you forgetting them, at the end of 4, I shall say goodbye, and at the end of 5, I shall go. She had got all the pegs put in by this time, and Alice looked on with great interest as she returned to the tree and began slowly walking down the row. At the 2-yard peg, she faced down and said, A pawn goes 2 squares in its first move, you know. So you'll go very quickly through the third square. By railway, I should think. And you'll find yourself in the 4th square in no time. Well, that square belongs to Tweedledee and Tweedledum. The 5th is mostly water. The 6th belongs to Humpty Dumpty. But you make no remark? I didn't know I had to make one. Just then, Alice faltered out. You should have said, the Queen went on in a tone of grave reproof. It's extremely kind of you to tell me all this. However, we'll suppose it's said. The 7th square is all forest. However, that's my favorite one because I love the forest. However, one of the knights will show you the way, and in the 8th square we shall be queens together, and it's all feasting and fun. Alice got up and curtsied again, and sat down. At the next peg, the Queen turned again, and this time she said, Speak in French when you can't think of the English for a thing. Turn out your toes when you walk, and remember who you are. And I don't remember where I was, because I looked over there for a second. To gesture and stuff, because I am, of course, an actress, even. Where the fuck? Ah, I got it. She did not wait for Alice to curtsy this time, but walked on quickly to the next peg, where she turned for a moment to say goodbye, and then hurried on to the last. How it happened, Alice never knew, but exactly as she came to the last peg, she was gone. Whether she vanished into the air or whether she ran quickly into the wood, and she can run very fast, thought Alice. Oh, because she's a queen. I get it. There was no way, like in chess, you know, like a queen in chess. You know chess? You know chess, the game chess? And there's queens in it, and they go real fast, and they can go all over the place. That's the joke. I got it. I never got that before. Fun. Where can I read your lore? Nowhere. I don't have my lore anywhere. I mean, I'm sure I like said it at some point in like the Discord maybe or something. But I've never like written down extensive info on my lore because there really isn't that much. I basically gave you everything right then and there. I mean, there's like a little more, but yeah. I mean, make me a fucking wiki page, I guess, to put my lore on. Sonic the Green. How it happened, Alice never knew. She got very fast, thought Alice. There was no way of guessing, but she was gone, and Alice began to remember that she was a pawn, and that it would be soon time for her to move. Chapter 3. Chapter 3. Looking Glass Insects. Of course, the first thing to do was to make a grand survey of the country she was going to travel through. It's something very like learning geography, thought Alice, as she stood on tiptoe in hopes of being able to see a little further. Principal rivers, there are none. Principal mountains, I'm the only one. But I don't think it's got any... I'm on the only one. I was like, what? I'm on the only one, but I don't think it's got any name. Principal towns, why, what are those creatures making honey down there? They can't be bees. Nobody ever saw bees a mile of, you know? And for some time she was stood silent, watching one of them that was bustling about among the flowers, poking its proboscis into them. Isn't it always like... It's written as proboscis, but I feel like everyone always pronounces it proboscis? Unless proboscis is something else. How do you pronounce proboscis? Proboscis. How do you pronounce that? I say proboscis, but maybe I'm wrong? Proboscis? Proboscis. I have no idea what those even mean. It's the thingy that bugs have. Some bugs, it's like their big tongue thing or something that they stick it in flowers or in things or in poop or in creatures for sustenance to consume, you know? I think that's what a proboscis is. I've always said like pro-boss kiss. Pro-boss kiss. Kiss the boss. We are pro-boss kissing here. I've always said proboscis, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Poking its proboscis into them, just as if it were a regular bee, thought Alice. However, this was anything but a regular bee. In fact, it was an elephant, as Alice soon found out, though the idea quite took her breath away at first. And what enormous flowers they must be, was her next idea. Something like cottages with the roofs taken off and stalks put to them. And what quantities of honey they must make. I think I'll go down and... no, wait, I won't go just yet, she went on, checking herself, just as she was beginning to run down the hill. Don't run down hills, that's dangerous. And I lost my way again. Gotta stop making comments about things. As she was going to run down a hill and trying to find some excuse for turning shy so suddenly. It'll never do to go down among them without a good long branch to brush them away. And what fun it'll be when they ask me how I liked my walk. I shall say, oh, I liked it well enough. Here came the favorite little toss of her head. Only it was so dusty and hot, and the elephants did tease so. I think I'll go down the other way, she said after a pause, and perhaps I may visit the elephants later on. Besides, I do so want to get into the third square. So with this excuse, she ran down the hill and jumped over the first of the 6 little brooks. Of course, she can't go to the elephants because they are diagonal, and she can't do that because she's a pawn. "Tickets, please," said the guard, putting his head in at the window. In a moment, everybody was holding out a ticket. They were about the same size as the people, and quite seemed to fill the carriage. "Now then, show your ticket, child," the guard went on, looking angrily at Alice. And a great many voices all said together, like the chorus of a song, thought Alice. "Don't keep him waiting, child. Why, his time is worth £1,000 a minute." "I'm afraid I haven't got one," Alice said, in a frightened tone. "There wasn't a ticket office where I came from. And again, the chorus of voices went on. There wasn't room for one where she came from. The land there is worth £1,000 an inch. Also, no, we haven't missed anything. She's just in a fucking train carriage now. It's just like that. Don't worry about it. Don't make excuses, said the guard. You should have brought one from the engine driver. And once more the chorus of voices went on with, the man that drives the engine, why, the smoke alone is worth £1,000 a puff. Alice thought to herself, then there's no use in speaking. The voices didn't join in this time, as she hadn't spoken, but to her great surprise, they all thought in chorus. I hope you understand what thinking in chorus means, for I must confess that I don't. Better say nothing at all. Language is worth £1,000 a word. I love Wonderland logic. I shall dream about £1,000 tonight. I know I shall, thought Alice. All this time the guard was looking at her, first through a telescope, then through a microscope, and then through an opera glass. At last he said, You're traveling the wrong way, and shut up the window and went away. So young a child, said the gentleman sitting opposite her. He was dressed in white paper. Ought to know which way she's going, even if she doesn't know her own name. A goat that was sitting next to the gentleman in white shut his eyes and said in a loud voice, She ought to know her way to the ticket office, even if she doesn't know her alphabet. It doesn't say bear, but it does say alphabet, so I made it. It's a goat. It's for you. It's for you. I'm enhancing your experience, and my hand is doing that too, I guess. There was a beetle sitting next to the goat. It was a very queer carriage full of passengers altogether. That's right, it's your average gay friend group. And as the rule seemed to be that they should all speak in turn, he went on with, You have to go back from here as luggage. Alice couldn't see who was sitting beyond the beetle, but a hoarse voice spoke next. What's a horse voice? What's a horse? Toad. Toad has a horse voice. Where was I? Change engines! It said, and there it choked and was obliged to leave off. Oh wait, change engines! And then it choked and was obliged to leave off. It sounds like a horse, Alice thought to herself. I wish I'd read that first, but I guess horses just sound like Toad now. That's canon. Alice thought to herself, and an extremely small voice close to her ear said, what? Okay. Yep. Wait, hold on. I know. Small voice? You might make a joke on that. Something about horse and horse, you know? Then a very gentle voice in the distance said, she must be a gentle voice in distance. In the distance, okay. I'm going into the distance. Into the distance I go, everyone. I don't know if this is gonna sound like I'm in the distance, but we'll find out. Lass, with care, you know. Did that sound like the distance? Did that sound like I was in the distance? I'm back now, though. Hi. Oh, behind my hand, of course. And after that, other voices went on. What a number of people there are in the carriage, thought Alice, saying, She must go by post, and she's got a head on her. She must be sent as a message by the telegraph. She must draw the train herself the rest of the way, and so on. But the gentleman dressed in white paper leaned forward and whispered in her ear. What did this guy sound like again? Never mind what they all say, my dear. But take a return ticket every time the train stops. I assume that's what he sounded like. I don't know. And it did sound like I was in the distance. Very good to know. Thank you. Indeed I shan't, Alice said rather impatiently. I don't belong on this railway journey at all. I was in a wood just now, and I wish I could go back there. You might make a joke on that, said the little voice close to her ear. Something about you would if you could, you know, and go to the wood. I added the last part, but I assume that was also just like part of the pun. Don't tease so, said Alice, looking about in vain to see where the voice came from. If you're so anxious to have a joke made, why don't you make one yourself? The little voice sighed deeply. It was very unhappy, evidently, and Alice would have said something pitying to comfort it. If it would only sigh like other people, she thought, but this was such a wonderfully small sigh that she couldn't have heard it at all if it hadn't come quite close to her ear. The consequences of this was that it tickled her ear very much, and quite took off her thoughts from the unhappiness of the poor little creature. I know you're a friend, the little voice went on. A dear friend and an old friend, and you won't hurt me, though I am an insect. What kind of insect? Alice inquired a little anxiously. What she really wanted to know was whether it could sting or not, but she thought this wouldn't be quite a civil question to ask. Oh, she'd learned since last time, when she kept bringing up her cat when talking to a mouse and how the cat kills mice. What? Then you don't? The little voice began when it was drowned by a shrill scream from the engine, and everybody jumped up in alarm. Alice among the rest. The horse, who had put his head out of the window, quietly drew it in and said, It's only a brook we have to jump over. Everybody seemed satisfied. No, wait, that was it. That was what Toad was saying. Yes, he's getting ASMR. This book is inventing everything. It invented ASMR, it invented The Sims, and one other thing. I forgot what the other one is. But it invented all of that. That's cool. All of them read this book and got their information for this. Everyone... Okay, so it's only a brook we have to jump over! Everybody seemed satisfied with this, though Alice felt a little nervous at the idea of trains jumping at all. However, it'll take us into the fourth square! That's some comfort! No, goddammit, that's not the fucking horse, that's Alice. Fuck. This is so hard. There's way too many characters in this book. However, it'll take us into the fourth square. That's some comfort, she said to herself. In another moment, she felt the carriage rise straight up into the air, and in her fright, she caught at the thing nearest to her hand, which happened to be the goat's beard. But the beard seemed to melt away as she touched it, and she found herself sitting quietly under some trees, while the net, for that was the insect she had been talking to, was balancing itself on a twig just over her head and fanning her with its wings. It certainly was a very large net, about the size of a chicken, Alice thought. Still, she couldn't feel nervous with it, after they had been talking together for so long. Oh, that's a cute drawing. Oh, okay. It's not small anymore, but I'm just still gonna give it to you, voice, because that's what we're used to and it's a fun voice to do. Then you don't like all insects? The net went on, as quietly as if nothing had happened. I like them when they talk, Alice said. None of them ever talk where I come from. What sort of insects do you rejoice in? Wow. What sort of insects do you rejoice in where you come from? The net inquired. I don't rejoice in insects at all, Alice explained, because I'm rather afraid of them, at least the large kinds, but I can tell you the names of some of them. Of course they answer to their names, the net remarked carelessly. I never knew them to do it. What's the use of their having names? The net said, if they won't answer to them. No use to them, said Alice, but it's useful to the people that name them, I suppose. If not, why do things have names at all? I can't say, the net replied. Further on, and the wood of them, they've got no names. However, go on with your list of insects. You're wasting time. Well, there's the horsefly, Alice began, counting off the names on her fingers. All right, said the net. Halfway up that bush, you'll see a walking horsefly. If you look, it's made entirely of wood and gets about by swinging itself from branch to branch. What does it live on? Alice asked, with great curiosity. Sap and sawdust, said the net. Go on with the list. Alice looked at the rocking horsefly with great interest and made up her mind that it must have been just repainted. It looked so bright and sticky. Sticky, okay. I thought it'd be like shiny or something, but no, it's sticky. And then she went on, and there's the dragonfly. Look at that brace above your head, said the net. And there you'll find a snapdragonfly. Its body is made of plum pudding, its wings of holly leaves, and its head is a raisin burned in brandy. It's like some food art. Well, sticky makes a bit of sense due to it eating sap, perhaps. Like, I get it, and it's because it's eating sap, and it's because it was just painted, you know, so it's still like dry. This is unexpected. And what does it live on? I don't get this one, by the way. What's a snapdragon? Because that's like the pun, right? They're all like pun names. So what's a snapdragon? Because it's a snapdragonfly. And what does it live on? Alice asked, as before.
Frument tea and mince pie,
The net replied.
and it makes its nest in a Christmas box.
And then there's the butterfly, Alice went on, after she had taken a good look at the insect with its head on fire, and had thought to herself, I wonder if that's the reason insects are so fond of flying into candles, because they want to turn into snapdragonflies. Oh. Another fun thought. A Snapdragon is a brand of mobile CPUs by Qualcomm. Wow, I now understand everything. Now I understand what it has to do with Christmas decorations forming a bug. And snacks. Snacks and decorations. Because of the computer manufacturer that definitely existed back then. Oh right, it's a flower. That's right. Is it a Christmassy flower? Does it have to do with Christmas? Is it where the wings come from? The leaves? No, holly leaves. What does that have to do with Christmas? I'm not a very Christmas savvy person, so I don't know. And also in the Netherlands, we don't have like the same customs anyway as other countries might. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm just gonna keep reading. So, and then there's the butterfly. Crawling
at your feet,
said the net. Alice drew her feet back in some alarm.
You may observe a wet butterfly. Its wings are thin slices of bread and butter. Its body is a crust, and its head is a lump of sugar.
And what does it live on?
Weak tea with cream in it.
A new difficulty came into Alice's head. Supposing it couldn't find any, she suggested.
Then it would die, of course.
But that must happen very often, Alice remarked thoughtfully.
It always happens,
said the net. Okay. That's good. Snapping turtles are the thing you're not far. Oh yeah, snapping turtle. I love those dudes. They got the long neck. Oh wait, do they? Some of them do, maybe? There's a species of turtle with like a really long neck. Anyway, all bread and butterflies die, apparently. So, none of them have ever eaten anything. I guess. That sucks. How would you know what to eat if they don't? Well, it's Wonderland, so like, whatever. After this, Alice was silent for a minute or two, pondering. The net amused itself meanwhile by humming around and around her head. At last, it settled again, and remarked,
I suppose you don't want to lose your name?
No, indeed, Alice said, a little anxiously.
And yet I don't know,
the net went on, in a careless tone.
Only think how convenient it would be if you could manage to go home without it. For instance, if the governess wanted to call you for your lessons, she would call out, come here! And then she would have to leave off, because there wouldn't be any name for her to call. And of course, you wouldn't have to go, you know.
What did I want to... Really though? It's just like that. The Galapagos turtle is one that has a super long neck. Snapping ones have smaller, shorter necks and hide in their shells and snap at things. Well, don't all turtles snap at things if you think about it? I mean, maybe not like aggressively, you know? So does the Galapagos turtle also have like the weird, the like flat white head? Because that's the one I'm thinking of, I think. I think that's the one. And down to find where I left off. Those only snap at things if they don't get enough pizza. Yeah, that's true. They get very grumpy and they'll lash out. Okay, so blah blah blah. If you didn't have a name, then you have to go to classes, and my hands are fucking up. Stop. 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 Okay, seems like we're good. That would never do, I'm sure, said Alice. The governors would never even think of excusing me from... God, bye! Hold on. Try to clean the camera a little bit. Okay, let's try that again. Never gonna get through this fucking passage. That would never do, I'm sure, said Alice. The governors would never think of excusing me from lessons for that. If she couldn't remember my name, she'd call me Miss, as the servants do. She's got fucking servants that call her Miss. She's rich as fuck. I wonder how different Alice in Wonderland would be if it was like a commoner, you know? Working class, like us. I don't work. I'm too autistic, but you know. I mean, I do this, and I do. It's not work, but it's the closest thing I have to a job. This is we don't have to be talking about this. But we could.
Well, if she said miss and didn't say anything more,
The Ned remarked.
of course you'd miss your lessons. That's a joke. I wish you had made it.
Okay, rude. Why do you wish I had made it? Alice asked. It's a very bad one. Nah, it's pretty good. She knows what pineapple tastes like too. She's bougie. Yeah, right? Fucking right? She is. And she like berates other people for being not as smart as her because they don't have as good of an education. That's fucked. But the Ned only sighed deeply, while 2 large tears came rolling down its cheeks. You shouldn't make jokes, Alice said, if it makes you so unhappy. Then came another one of those melancholy little sighs, and this time the poor Ned really seemed to have sighed itself away, for when Alice looked up, there was nothing whatever to be seen on the twig. And as she was getting quite chilly while sitting still so long, she got up and walked on. She very soon came to an open field, with a wood on the other side of it. It looked, this fucking Ned just fucking died of sadness, Alice. You don't have anything to say about that? Like, seriously? She doesn't care. She doesn't care because the Ned's not rich like her, so she doesn't give a shit. Very, 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 very poor manners there. Doesn't even care that she just made this. She killed this Ned through sadness. She did that, and she's just gonna walk away. Bet it's not the first time she's killed. She very soon came to an open field, with a wood on the other side of it. It looked much darker than the last wood, and Alice felt a little timid about going into it. However, on second thought, she made up her mind to go on. For I certainly won't go back, she thought to herself, and this was the only way to the 8th square. This must be the wood, she said thoughtfully to herself, where things have no names. I wonder what will become of my name when I go in. I shouldn't like to lose it at all, because they'd have given me another, and it would be almost certain to be an ugly one. And then the fun would be trying to find the creature that had gotten my old name. That's just like the advertisements, you know? When people lose dogs, answer to the name of Dash, head on a brass collar. It's not, oh! Like lost animal posters, like lost posters. They used to be called advertisements. That's interesting. We're learning so much about the past. Just fancy calling everything you met Alice till one of them answered. Only they wouldn't answer at all if they were wise. And my hands, come on, stop. She was rambling on in this way when she reached the wood. It looked very cool and shady. Well, at any rate, it's a great comfort, she said as she stepped under the trees. After being so hot to get into what? She went on, rather surprised at not being able to think of the word. I mean to get under this, you know, putting her hand on the trunk of a tree. What does it call itself, I wonder? I do believe it's got no name. Why, to be sure, it hasn't. I love that. I mean, to get under this, you know? I love the phrasing there. It's totally modern. That's exactly like how a modern thing would phrase that. That's how I would phrase it. Including the you know to no one. The hands stop. What does it call itself? I do believe it's got a name. Why, it has to. Why, to be sure, it hasn't. You did it so well too. It made it seem like you forgot a word. Hey, good. Aw, thanks. I do pride myself on being pretty good at voice acting now and then. She stood silent for a minute, thinking. Wait, no. She stood silent for a minute, thinking. Then she suddenly began again. That it really has happened after all. And now, who am I? I will remember if I can. I'm determined to do it. But being determined didn't help her much, and all she could say, after a great deal of puzzling, was L. I know it begins with an L. I mean, it begins with L, but not with an L. Just then, a fawn came wandering by. It looked at Alice with its large, gentle eyes, but didn't seem at all frightened. Here then, Alice said, as she held out her hand and tried to stroke it, but it only started back a little, and then stood looking at her again. What do you call yourself? Wait, this is the fawn. What does a fawn sound like? Alice is very much a movie. I love Alice. She's such a fucking great character.
What do you call yourself?
The fawn said, at last. Such a soft, sweet voice it had. I wish I knew, thought poor Alice. Poor Alice. She answered, rather sadly. Nothing, just now.
Think again,
it said.
That won't do.
Alice thought, but nothing came of it. Please, would you tell me what you call yourself? She said timidly. I think that might help a little.
I'll tell you, if you'll come a little further on,
the fawn said.
I can't remember here.
So they walked on together through the wood, Alice with her arms clasped lovingly around the soft neck of the fawn. Aw, I want to hug a fawn. Till they came out into another open field, and here the fawn gave a sudden bound into the air and shook itself free from Alice's arms.
I'm a fawn,
it cried out in a voice of delight,
and dear me, you're a human child.
A sudden look of alarm came into its beautiful brown eyes, and in another moment it had darted away at full speed. Oh, fuck you! Ah! Alice stood looking after it, almost ready to cry with vexation at having lost her dear little fellow traveler so suddenly. However, I need to have a sip of water. Hold on. Talking at length makes your throat dry. Okay, that helps, I assume. However, I know my name now, she said. That's some comfort. Alice. Alice. I won't forget it again. And now, which of these finger posts ought I to follow, I wonder? It was not a very difficult question to answer, as there was only one road through the wood, and the two finger posts both pointed along it. I'll settle it, Alice said to herself, when the road divides and they point different ways. But this did not seem likely to happen. She went on and on a long way, but wherever the road divided, there were sure to be two finger posts pointing the same way, one marked to Tweedledum's house, and the other to the house of Tweedledee. I do believe, said Alice at last, that they live in the same house. I wonder, I never thought of that before, but I can't stay here long. I'll just call and say, how do you do, and ask them the way out of the wood. If I could only get to the 8th square before it gets dark. So she wandered on, talking to herself as she went, till on turning a sharp corner, she came upon two fat little men, so suddenly that she could not help starting back. But in another moment she recovered herself, feeling sure that they must be Chapter 4! Tweedledum and Tweedledee, actually. Chapter 4. Whoa, that's... There we go. That looked a little weird there for a second. That also feels very modern to me, to have the chapter, end, the writing of the chapter have it end and then transition immediately into the title of the next chapter. That feels modern, I guess, new, fresh, as if it was like a bold and revolutionary thing to do at the time. You know what I mean? So they were standing under a tree, each with an arm around the other's neck, and Alice knew which was which in a moment, because one of them had "dumb" embroidered on his collar, and the other "D." I suppose they've got Tweedle. They've each got Tweedle round at the back of the collar, she said to herself. Yeah, it's a very new feeling old book. I mean, that's not too surprising because Lewis Carroll did like so love to break the norm as he did with Alice, you know? I suppose they stood so still that she quite forgot they were alive, and she was just looking around to see if the word Tweedle was written at the back of each collar when she was startled by a voice coming from the one marked "dumb." What did it sound like? "If you think we're waxworks," he said, "you ought to pay, you know. Waxworks weren't made to be looked at for nothing, no ho." They just have the same voice, I guess. Who cares? They look the same. "Contrariwise," added the one marked D, "if you think we're alive, you ought to speak." "I'm sure I'm very sorry," was all Alice could say, for the words of the old song kept ringing through her head like the ticking of a clock, and she could hardly help saying them out loud. Tweedledee and Tweedledum and Tweedledee agreed to have a battle, for Tweedledum said Tweedledee had spoiled his nice new rattle. Just then flew down a monstrous crow as black as a tar barrel, which frightened both the heroes so they quite forgot their quarrel. Also, again, it's like one of those poems that I don't know because I'm not English. So every time I read Alice in Wonderland, it's just like, oh yeah, all this stuff that I'm supposed to know, but I don't. Also, I'm sure I'm very sorry. She's like, oh yeah, like, I don't feel it, but I'm sure I'm sorry. You know, I'm sure I'm very sorry. That's fun writing. And again, it's just Alice being like kind of like rich bitch. I know what you're thinking about, said Tweedledum, but it isn't so, no ho. Contrariwise, continued Tweedledee. If it was so, it might be, and if it were so, it would be. But as it isn't, it ain't. That's logic. I was thinking, Alice said very politely, which is the best way out of this wood? It's getting so dark. Would you tell me, please? But the fat little men only looked at each other and grinned. They looked so exactly like a couple of great schoolboys that Alice couldn't help pointing her finger at Tweedledum and saying, "First boy!" "No ho!" Tweedledum cried out briskly and shut his mouth again with a snap. "Next boy!" said Alice, passing on to Tweedledee, though she felt quite certain he would only shout out contrariwise, and so he did. "You've begun wrong," cried Tweedledum. "The first thing in a visit is to say, 'How do you do?' and shake hands." I don't know this first boy, next boy thing. What is that? That's another... I mean, chances are you guys don't know that either, even if you are English, because that's just like an old thing. But if you do know, please do let me know. I am curious. I'm pretty sure the author didn't know English words at the moment of writing the story. British language is really fascinating. Well, I mean, it's written by an English person. Why would he not know English? Where was I? How to do? Okay. And here the two brothers gave each other a hug. Oh, and then they held out two hands that were free to shake hands with her. Alice did not like shaking hands with either of them first, for fear of hurting the other one's feelings. So, as the best way out of the difficulty, she took hold of both hands at once. The next moment, they were dancing around in a ring. This seems quite natural, she remembered afterwards, and she was not even surprised to hear music playing. Okay. It seemed to come from the tree under which they were dancing, and it was done, as well as she could make it out, by the branches rubbing one against another. Rubbing one across the other, like fiddles and fiddlesticks. Oh, is that what a fiddlestick is? I'd never thought about that before. That is what a fiddlestick is. Is that... Do you call that still? Is that an old word? Any fiddle players in the audience? Does anyone know? Do you call them fiddlesticks? Have I ever heard them being called fiddlesticks? I don't know. It does make so much sense, right? It's incredible that I've never thought about it before. That would be a fiddlestick. Okay, no one else realized. That's really fun. What do you call them now? Like, if that's not what they're called, then... Well, it's what they used to be called, but apparently they might have a different name now, maybe? What would they be called now? I feel like I've heard like another word for them. The little people saying, "What's up, fellow gamers?" Who are the little people? You mean the Tweedle people? Tweedledee Tweedledum? I know it by different reasons. Bows, right? Bow, yeah. That's the word that I'm used to. But who are the little people and what's the character? Oh, because the character of League. Oh, no, but Horny Officer, you requested an improv impersonation of the Tittle people saying, "What's up, fellow gamers?" But I assume you meant little people? Who are these? Those two. Oh, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Okay. They sound like this. Okay. What's up, fellow gamers? Are you ready to slam some Mountain Dew and pull some noobs? There you go. Boggers. But it certainly was funny, Alice said afterwards, when she was telling her sister the history of all this, to find myself singing "Here We Go Round the Mulberry Bush." I don't know when I began it, but somehow I felt as if I'd been singing it a long, long time. The other two dancers were fed and very soon out of breath. That's rude. 4 times round is enough. Oh no, wait. 4 times round is enough for one dance, Tweedledum panted out, and they left off dancing as suddenly as they had begun. The music stopped at the same moment. Then they let go of Alice's hands and stood looking at her for a minute. There was a rather awkward pause, as Alice didn't know how to begin a conversation with people she had just been dancing with. It would never do to say, "How do you do now?" she said to herself. We seem to have got beyond that somehow. "I hope you're not much tired," she said at last. "No how, and thank you very much for asking," said Tweedledum. "So much obliged," added Tweedledee. "You like poetry?" Yes, pretty well. Some poetry. Hey, same, Alice. Very relatable. She truly is a mood all of the time. Alice said doubtfully, "Would you tell me which road leads out of the wood?" "What shall I repeat to her?" said Tweedledee, looking round at Tweedledum with great solemn eyes, and not noticing Alice's question. "The Walrus and the Carpenter is the longest," Tweedledum replied, giving his brother an affectionate hug. I love how nice they are in this one. Most interpretations don't have them be this nice and affectionate with each other, you know? Tweedledee began instantly. "The sun was shining." Here Alice ventured to interrupt him. "If it's very long," she said, as politely as she could, "would you please tell me first which road?" Thank you for the clip. Tweedledee smiled gently and began again. Now, do I do this whole poem? It's like a really long... Oh, dude, guys, this is like six pages. This is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6. Hey, I counted. It's 6 pages. Do I do all of that in the Tweedle voice? Because that's like a lot. That's probably gonna hurt my throat or something. I could try. I should probably try, shouldn't I? I should try. Okay. The sun... Wait, no. Do the voice. "The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might." I'll try. I'll try to get as far as I can. Yeah. "The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all its might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright. All this was odd because it was the middle of the night. The moon was shining sulkily because she thought the sun had got no business to be there after the day was done. It's very rude of him, she said, to come and spoil the fun. The sea was wet as wet could be. The sands were dry as dry. You could not see a cloud because no cloud was in the sky. No birds were flying overhead. There were no birds to fly. The walrus and the carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand. If this were only cleared away, they said, it would be grand. If 7 maids with 7 mops swept for half a year, do you suppose, the walrus said, that they could get it clear? I doubted, said the carpenter, and shed a bitter tear. Oh, oysters, come and walk with us, the walrus did beseech. A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk, along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each. The eldest wait, no, not lobster. Okay, hold on. Oh, hydrate. I'll do a hydrate. And I think I'll also read normally again. Also, it'd be very funny if someone came in during the bit of the stream and they were like, oh, maybe she's doing this voice right now for this one character. And then, like, for 5 more pages I go on like that. And they're like, is that just what she sounds like? Would you guys still like me if I sounded like that all the time? Genuine question. Yeah. Also doing a little stretch. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, oysters, come and walk with us, the walrus did beseech. A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk, along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each. The eldest lobster looked at him, but never a word he said. The eldest lobster winked his eye and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed. But 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd because, you know, they hadn't any feet. 4 other oysters followed them, and yet another 4, and thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more, all bobbing through the frothy waves and scrambling to the shore. The walrus and the carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they rested on a rock, conveniently low, and all the little oysters stood and waited in a row. The time has come, the walrus said, to talk of many things, of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings. But wait a bit, the oysters cried, before we have our chat, for some of us are out of breath, and all of us are fat. No hurry, said the carpenter, they thanked him much for that. A loaf of bread, the walrus said, is what we chiefly need. Pepper and vinegar, besides, are very good indeed. Now if you are ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed. But not on us, the oysters cried, turning a little blue. After such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do. The night is fine, the walrus said. Do you admire the view? It was so kind of you to come, and you are very nice. The carpenter said nothing, but cut us another slice. I wish you were not quite so deaf. I've had to ask you twice. It seems a shame, the walrus said, to play them such a trick, after we've brought them out so far and made them trot so quick. The carpenter that said nothing, but the butter's spread too thick. I weep for you, the walrus said. I deeply sympathize. With sobs and tears, he sorted out one of the largest sighs, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes. Oh, oysters, said the carpenter, you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again? But answers there came none, and this was scarcely odd, because they'd eaten every one. Again, really just like a fly dies, and they kill all these oysters. The Jabberwock gets killed also. A lot of death in this one. You know, this is really like you know how like how writers will like how like they'll start off writing like nice little children's books, and then at some point they're like, no, I want to draw something. I want to write something serious now, something that's gonna hurt people. I want violence and death, kill. And this is Carol's time for that. When someone dies every other chapter. I like the walrus best, said Alice, because, you see, he was a little sorry for the poor oysters. He ate more than a carpenter, though, said Tweedledee. The voice is back. You see, he held his handkerchief in front so that the carpenter couldn't count how many he took, contrary-wise. That was mean, Alice said intelligently. Then I liked the carpenter best, if he didn't eat as many as the walrus. But he ate as many as he could get, said Tweedledum. This was a puzzler. After a pause, Alice began, well, they were both very unpleasant characters. Here she checked herself in some alarm at hearing something that sounded to her like the puffing of a large steam engine in a wood near them, though she feared it was more likely to be a wild beast. Are there any lions or tigers about here? She asked timidly. It's only the Red King snoring, said Tweedledee. Come and look at him, the brothers cried, and come and look at him, the brothers cried, and they each took one of Alice's hands and led her up to where the king was sleeping. Isn't he a lovely sight? Said Tweedledum. Also, why are lions and tigers the first thing she jumps to? Again, she just wants to show off that she knows them because she's like rich and stuff and well educated. You know, I bet that's it. Any normal person from England would just be like, oh, is that a fucking boar or a wolf? Maybe. I think they probably did still have wolves in those days. Maybe they still have wolves in England, actually. Anyone know? Does anyone know if they have wolves in England? I'm interested to know now. Isn't he a lovely sight? Said Tweedledum. Alice couldn't say honestly that he was. He had a tall red nightcap on, with a tassel, and he was lying crumpled up into a sort of untidy heap, and snoring loud, fit to snore his head off, as Tweedledum remarked. I'm afraid he'll catch a cold with lying on the damp grass, said Alice, who was a very thoughtful little girl, most of the time. Probably, nope, actually. Oh, no wolves, okay. No, but they used to be there, I assume? But were they there in like the 1800s, which I think is like when this book was written? Or were they just never there to begin with? He's dreaming now, said Tweedledee. And what do you think he's dreaming about? Alice said, nobody can guess that. Why, about you, Tweedledee exclaimed, clapping his hands triumphantly. And if he left off dreaming about you, where do you suppose you'd be? Where I am now, of course, said Alice. Not you, Tweedledee retorted contemptuously. You'd be nowhere. Why, you're only a sort of thing in his dream. If that their king was to wake, added Tweedledum, you'd go out, bang, just like a candle. I shouldn't, Alice exclaimed indignantly. Besides, if I'm only a sort of thing in his dream, what are you? I should like to know. Ditto, said Tweedledum. Ditto, ditto, cried Tweedledee. He shouted this so loud that Alice couldn't help saying, hush, you'll be waking him, I'm afraid, if you make so much noise. Well, it's no use your talking about waking him, said Tweedledum, when my phone is going off because it's time for my gal bill. Hunted to extinction. Of course they were fucking hunted to extinction. Well, no surprise there. They're finally making a return in Allen's though. That's good. What day is it? Tuesday. Get the fucking thing out there. There's not many of them in the Netherlands, but there's like a family again somewhere. So that's really good. Oh, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is going on with my body there? That was weird. I just hope people will, like, leave them alone, you know? Assholes aren't gonna be like, oh, let's all kill the wolf because we're scared. Or also, alternatively, less bad but not good. Let's all, like, bother the wolf because we want to see it. What the heck is going on? Okay, we're good. There we go. Man's are good again. I hope that we just leave the wolf spotting to the experts and they'll tell us it's going great. The wolf population is returning. Yay. We love wolves. You know? Well, it's no use you're talking about waking him, said Tweedledum, when you're the only one of the things in his dream. You know very well you're not real. I am real, said Alice, and began to cry. Crying noises? You won't make yourself a bit realer by crying, Tweedledee remarked. There's nothing to cry about. If I wasn't real, Alice said, half laughing through her tears, it all seemed so ridiculous. I shouldn't be able to cry. I hope you don't suppose those are real tears, Tweedledum interrupted in a tone of great contempt. I know they're talking nonsense, Alice thought to herself, and it's foolish to cry about it. So she brushed away her tears and went on as cheerfully as she could. At any rate, I'd better be getting out of the wood, for really it's coming on very dark. Do you think it's going to rain? Tweedledum spread a large umbrella over himself and his brother, and looked up into it. No, I don't think it is, he said. At least, not under here, no. But it may rain outside? It may, if it chooses, said Tweedledee. We've no objection, contrariwise. Selfish things, thought Alice, and she was just going to say good night and leave them when Tweedledum sprang out from under the umbrella and seized her by the wrist. Did you see that? He said, in a voice choking with passion, and his eyes grew large and yellow all in a moment. Yellow, Jesus Christ, I don't remember that. As he pointed with a trembling finger at a small white thing lying underneath a tree. It's only a rattle, Alice said, after a careful examination of the little white thing. Not a rattlesnake, you know, she added hastily, thinking that he was frightened. Only an old rattle, quite old and broken. I knew it was, cried Tweedledum, beginning to stamp about wildly and tear his hair. It's spoiled, of course! Here he looked at Tweedledee, who immediately sat down on the ground and tried to hide himself under the umbrella. Alice laid her hand upon his arm and said in a soothing tone, You needn't be so angry about an old rattle. But it isn't old! Tweedledum cried in a greater fury than ever. It's new, I tell you! I bought it yesterday! My nice new rattle! And his voice rose to a perfect scream! Seems like a simp for me, that person. Seems like a simp for me, the person with yellow eyes. A simp for you? Why does he seem like a simp for you? Do you have fans and they have yellow eyes? All this time, Tweedledee was trying his best to fold. Why did his eyes turn yellow? That's really weird. Even by Wonderland standards, that feels like really strange to me. Odd. Why? No, seriously, I've got no idea why that would happen. All this time, Tweedledee was trying his best to fold up the umbrella with himself in it, which was such an extraordinary thing to do that it quite took off Alice's attention from the angry brother. But he couldn't quite succeed, and it ended in his rolling over, bundled up in the umbrella, with only his head out. And there he lay, opening and shutting his mouth and his large eyes, looking more like a fish than anything else, Alice thought. Of course, you have to agree to have a battle, Tweedledum said in a calmer tone. I suppose so, the other sulkily replied, as he crawled out of the umbrella. Only she must help us to dress up, you know. Jaundice. Jaundice doesn't make your eyes yellow, it makes your skin yellow, right? I'm pretty sure about that. More like the people simping for other features. Do all Sims have yellow eyes? Is that how you can tell them apart in the wild? Have I ever met a simp? I don't think I've ever met a simp then. Zoe, I didn't notice you were live, but I'm not able to stay long. But I want to say hi before I leave again. Oh, thanks so much for popping in anyway, Melon. Hi. Have fun and good luck and or whatever the hell with whatever you're gonna do. Bye-bye. And I do. That is very nice of you. I do appreciate that you're coming in to just say hi for a second. Would have loved to have you here for most of it, more of it. Where was I? So the two brothers went off hand in hand into the wood and returned in a minute with their arms full of things, such as bolsters, blankets, hard rugs, tablecloths, dish covers, and coal scuttles. Not shuttles, scuttles, wow. I don't know what those are. I hope you're a good hand at pinning and tying strings, Tweedledum remarked. Every one of these things had to go on, somehow or other. Alice said afterwards she had never seen such a fuss made about anything in all her life. The way these two bustled about and the quantity of things they put on, and the trouble they gave her in tying strings and fastening buttons. Really, they'll be more like bundles of old clothes than anything else by the time they're ready, she said to herself, as she arranged a bolster around the neck of Tweedledee, to keep his head from being cut off, as he said. You know, he added very gravely, it's one of the most serious things that can possibly happen to one in a battle, to get one's head cut off. Alice laughed loudly, but she managed to turn it into a cough for fear of hurting his feelings. Do I look very pale? Said Tweedledum, coming up to have his helmet tied on. Okay. Have fun lurking. But, hand, stop, I want to wave. Have fun lurking. Good luck with your classes. Bye-bye. Do I look very pale? Said Tweedledum, coming up to have his helmet tied on. He called it a helmet, but it certainly looked much more like a saucepan. Well, yes, a little, Alice replied gently. I'm very brave, generally, he went on in a low voice. Only today I happen to have a headache. And I've got a toothache, said Tweedledee, who had overheard the remark. I'm far worse than you. Then you'd better not fight today, said Alice, thinking it a good opportunity to make peace. We must have a bit of a fight, but I don't care about going on long, said Tweedledum. What's the time now? Tweedledee looked at his watch and said, 4:30. Let's fight till 6 and then have dinner, said Tweedledum. Very well, the other said, rather sadly. Then she can watch us. Only you'd better not come very close, he added. I generally hit everything I can see when I get really excited. Again, that's like such fun, like modern feeling writing, you know? And I hit everything within reach, cried Tweedledum. Whether I can see it or not. Alice laughed. You must hit the trees pretty often, I should think, she said. Tweedledum looked around him with a satisfied smile. I don't suppose, he said. There'll be a tree left standing for ever so far around by the time we've finished. And all about a rattle, said Alice, still hoping to make them a little ashamed of fighting for such a trifle. I shouldn't have minded it so much, said Tweedledum, if it hadn't been a new one. I wish the monstrous crow would come, thought Alice. There's only one sword, you know, Tweedledum said to his brother. But you can have the umbrella. It's quite as sharp. Only we must begin quick. It's getting as dark as it can. And darker. Said Tweedledee. It was getting dark so suddenly that Alice thought there must be a thunderstorm coming on. What a thing that black cloud is. Oh no, wait. What a thick black cloud that is. But I think my fuck up was also a pretty good sentence. She said, and how fast it comes. Why, I do believe it's got wings. It's the crow! Tweedledum cried out in a shrill voice of alarm, and the two brothers took to their heels and were out of sight in a moment. Alice ran a little way into the wood and stopped under a large tree. It can never get me here, she thought. It's far too large to squeeze itself in among the trees, but I wish it wouldn't flap its wings so. It makes quite a hurricane in the wood. Here's somebody's shawl being blown away. And I turn the page. Chapter 5. Chapter 5. She caught the shawl as she spoke and looked about for the owner. In another moment, the White Queen came running wildly through the wood, with both arms stretched out wide, as if she were flying, and Alice very civilly went to meet her with the shawl. Also, heads up, this is going to be the last chapter for today, because it's 12 chapters total, but I know that the last 2 chapters are going to be a little shorter than the rest. So I think that ending it at chapter 5 will be like a good, at the end of chapter 5 that is, will be like a good midpoint. And since I am talking all the time, like the whole stream, it's a little more tiring, especially like for my voice and stuff, than a usual stream. So it's gonna be a little bit of a shorter one. Hope you don't mind, but you know, just so you know, this is the last chapter we're gonna read today. Okay. I'm very glad I happened to be in the way, Alice said as she helped her put on her shawl again. The White Queen only looked at her in a helpless, frightened sort of way and kept repeating something in a whisper to herself that sounded like, bread and butter, said and Alice felt that if there was to be any conversation at all, she must manage it herself. So she began rather timidly, am I addressing the White Queen? Well, yes, if you call that addressing, the Queen said. It isn't my notion of the thing at all. Alice thought it would never do to have an argument at the beginning of their conversation, so she smiled and said, if your Majesty will only tell me the right way to begin, I shall do it as well as I can. But I don't want it done at all, groaned the poor Queen. I've been addressing myself for the last 2 hours. It would have been all the better, as it seemed to Alice, if she had got someone else to dress her. She was so dreadfully untidy. Every single thing's crooked, Alice thought to herself, and she's all over pins. She's all over pins? Okay. May I put your shawl straight for you? She added aloud. No, you gotta put it gay, so people know you're a lesbian. I don't know what's the matter with it, the Queen said in a melancholy voice. It's out of temper, I think. I've pinned it here and I've pinned it there, but there's no pleasing it. It can't go straight, you know, if you pin it all on one side, Alice said, as she gently put it right for her. And dear me, what a state your hair is in. The brush has got entangled in it, the Queen said with a sigh, and I lost the comb yesterday. Alice carefully released the brush and did her best to get the hair in order. Come, you look rather the better now, she said, after altering most of the pins. But really, you should have a lady's maid. I'm sure I'll take you with pleasure, the Queen said. 2 pence a week and jam every other day. Alice couldn't help laughing as she said, I don't want you to hire me, and I don't care for jam. It's very good jam, said the Queen. Well, I don't want any today, at any rate. You wouldn't have it if you did want it, the Queen said. The rule is jam tomorrow and jam yesterday, but never jam today. It must come sometimes to jam today, Alice objected. No, it can't, said the Queen. It's jam every other day. Today isn't any other day, you know. I think that's like one of my favorite, like, those kinds of like logic puns in Alice in Wonderland. Jam every other day. I fucking love that. It's so simple, but it's really fun. I don't understand you, said Alice. It's dreadfully confusing. That's the effect of living backwards, the Queen said kindly. It always makes one a little giddy at first. Living backwards, Alice repeated in great astonishment. I've never heard of such a thing. But there's one great advantage in it, that one's memory works both ways. I'm sure mine only works one way, Alice remarked. I can't remember things before they happen. It's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards, the Queen remarked. Wait, oh yeah, I guess our memories do work backwards. Yeah, duh. I read it and I was confused, but I'm just dumb. This book's got me all sorts of off, you know? What sort of things do you remember best? Alice ventured to ask. Oh, things that happened the week after next, the Queen replied in a careless tone. For instance, now, she went on, sticking a large piece of plaster on her finger as she spoke, there's the King's messenger. He's in prison now, being punished, and the trial doesn't even begin until next Wednesday. And of course, the crime comes last of all. Suppose he never commits the crime, said Alice. That would be all the better, wouldn't it? The Queen said, as she bound the plaster around her finger with a bit of ribbon. Alice felt there was no denying that. Of course it would be all the better, she said, but it wouldn't be all the better, his being punished. You're wrong there, at any rate, said the Queen. Were you ever punished? Only for faults, said Alice. And you were all the better for it, I know, the Queen said triumphantly. Alice does things wrong. She's a bad girl. She gets punished, but she keeps doing bad stuff 'cause she likes to defy the government or whatever. But she's rich. I know. Whatever she considers a fault is just like normal stuff, like wearing mismatched socks, that sort of thing. That's the kind of stuff that the bourgeoisie gets punished for, I guess. Yes, but then I had done the things I was punished for, said Alice. That makes all the difference. But if you hadn't done them, the Queen said, that would have been better still. Better and better and better. Wait, hold on. Better and better and better. Her voice went higher with each better, till it got quite a squeak at last. Alice was just beginning to... That was like a fucking YouTube poop. Alice was just beginning to... This book also invented YouTube poop. What didn't Lewis Carroll invent? Fucking incredible. Oh my god, what a visionary. We have everything to thank him. All the good things in the world. Alice was just beginning to say, there's a mistake somewhere, when the Queen began screaming so loud that she had to leave the sentence unfinished. Oh, 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 shouted the Queen, shaking her hand almost as if she wanted to shake it off. My finger's bleeding. Ow, oh, 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 oh. Her screams were so exactly like the whistle of a steam engine, that's not at all what I was doing, that Alice had to hold both her hands over her ears. The most unruly a Victorian girl can get is showing her ankles. You are correct. Anything past that and it's like... Well, what about anything past that? I suppose it would be worse. Shoulders? Were shoulders bad at the time? Shoulders are still bad now in high school. Hi, Brody. Hi, hi. Welcome. How you doing? What is the matter? She said, as soon as there was a chance of making herself heard. Have you pricked your finger? I haven't pricked it yet, the Queen said, but I soon shall. Ow, 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 ow. When do you expect to do it? Alice asked, feeling very much inclined to laugh. When I fasten my shawl again, the poor Queen groaned out. The brooch will come undone directly. Dude, this is like fortune-telling also invented fortune-telling or whatever, or maybe some time travel stuff. Who knows? The brooch will come done in directly. Ow, ow. As she said the words, the brooch flew open, and the Queen clutched wildly at it, trying to clasp it again. Take care, cried Alice. You're holding it all crooked. And she caught at the brooch, but it was too late. The pin had slipped, and the Queen had pricked her finger. Dude, there's fucking blood in this. This book's got it all. It's got a lot of death. It's got blood. It's got... My nose is itchy. What else does it have? Queens. A goat. There's a goat at one point. That accounts for the bleeding, you see. That accounts for the bleeding, you see, she said to Alice with a smile. Now you understand the way things happen here. But why don't you scream now? Alice asked, holding her hands ready to put over her ears again. Why, I've done all the screaming already, said the Queen. What would be the good of having it all over again? That's a good point. Didn't realize you were reading the novelization of Doom. Yeah, there's ghosts in Doom. That's right. Oh, there's flowers as well. There's definitely flowers. By this time, it was getting light. The crow must have flown away, I think, said Alice. I'm so glad it's gone. I thought it was the night coming on. I wish I could manage to be glad, the Queen said. Only I never can remember the rule. You must be very happy living in this wood and being glad whenever you like. Only it is so very lonely here, Alice said in a melancholy voice, and at the thought of her loneliness 2 large tears came rolling down her cheeks like a Ghibli movie. Oh, don't go on like that, cried the poor Queen, wringing her hands in despair. Consider what a great girl you are. Oh, what the hell? Consider what a great girl you are. Consider what a long way you've come today. Consider what o'clock it is. Consider anything. Only don't cry. I mean, there is a novelization of Doom, I think. I'm pretty fucking sure, actually. Like, isn't there? There's definitely a comic. But I think there's a novelization. And it's, like, really fucking funny. Like, they're very aware how dumb it is to make a little novelization of Doom, which has barely any story, you know? The original Doom, that is. Oh, you have that book. Oh, sorry. I didn't read your message properly. I thought it said I'd actually read that book. Sorry. You have it. That's cool. Alice could not help laughing at this, even in the midst of her tears. Can you keep from crying by considering things? She asked. That's the way it's done, the Queen said with great decision. Nobody can do two things at once, you know. Let's consider your age, to begin with. How old are you? I'm 7.5, exactly. You needn't say exactly, the Queen remarked. I can't believe it without that. Now I'll give you something to believe. I'm just 101, 5 months and a day. Wait. 501 years? Years, I assume? That's very old. I can't believe that, said Alice. Can't you? The Queen said in a pitying tone. Try again. Draw a long breath and shut your eyes. Alice laughed. There's no use trying, she said. No, one can't believe impossible things. I dare say you haven't had much practice, said the Queen. When I was your age, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. There goes the shawl again. The brooch had come undone as she spoke, and a sudden gust of wind blew the Queen's shawl across the little brook. The Queen spread out her arms again and went flying after it, and this time she succeeded in catching it for herself. I've got it, she cried in a triumphant tone. Now you shall see me pin it on again, all by myself. Then I hope your finger is better now, Alice said very politely, as she crossed the little brook after the Queen. Oh, much better, cried the Queen, her voice rising into a squeak as they went on. Much better! 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 The last word ended in a long bleat, so like a sheep that Alice quite startled. She looked at the Queen, who seemed to have suddenly wrapped herself in wool. Alice rubbed her eyes and looked again. She couldn't make out what had happened at all. Was she in a shop? And was it really a sheep that was sitting on the other side of the counter? Rub as she would, she could make nothing more of it. She was in a little dark shop, leaning with her elbows on the counter, and opposite to her was an old sheep, sitting in an armchair knitting, and every now and then leaving off to look at her through a great pair of spectacles. What is it you want to buy? The sheep said, at last, looking up for a moment from her knitting. I don't quite know yet, Alice said very gently. I should like to look around me first, if I might. You may look in front of you, and on both sides, if you'd like, said the sheep. But you can't look all around you, unless you've got eyes in the back of your head. But these, as it happened, Alice had not got. A surprise. So she contented herself with turning around, looking at the shelves as she came to them. I love the White Queen, by the way. She's so gentle, and she's nice. And she's like a sweet, bumbling lady. It's fun. Hi, optional! There's optional. The shop seemed to be full of all manner of curious things, but the oddest part of it was that whenever she looked hard at any shelf to make out exactly what it had on it, that particular shelf was always quite empty, though the others round it were crowded as full as they could hold. That is fun. That's a fun little gimmick. Things flow about so here, she said at last in a plaintive tone, after she had spent a minute or so in vainly pursuing a large, bright thing that looked sometimes like a doll and sometimes like a workbox, and was always in the shelf next above the one she was looking at. And this one is the most provoking of all. But I'll tell you what, she added, as a sudden thought struck her. I'll follow it up to the very top shelf of it all. It'll puzzle it to go through. It'll puzzle it to go through the ceiling, I expect. But even this plan failed. The thing went through the ceiling as quietly as possible, as if it were quite used to it. Are you a child or a teetotum? Teetotum? Teetotum. Teetotum. Well, Alice certainly doesn't seem to wonder what that word means. Teetotum? What is that? What? Teetotum. What the fuck is teetotum? Teetotum. A teetotum is a form of gambling spinning top. It is a polygonal body marked... Polygons, I know those! Marked with letters or numbers, which indicate the results of each spin. It's a little die thingy. It's a spinning... It's like a die, but you spin it. It's like a dreidel, but it's not. It's also used for D&D, which is unsurprising. It's like a die, but we just spin it, and then it just lands on a side. Okay. Are you a child or a teetotum? The sheep said, as she took up another pair of needles. You'll make me giddy soon if you go on turning around like that. She was now working with 14 pairs at once. And Alice couldn't help looking at her in great astonishment. How can she knit with so many? The puzzled child thought to herself. She gets more and more like a porcupine every minute. Can you row? The sheep asked, handing her a pair of knitting needles as she spoke. Yes, a little, but not on land, and not with needles, Alice was beginning to say, when suddenly the needles turned into oars in her hands, and she found they were in a little boat, gliding along between banks. And there was nothing for it but to do her best. Feather! Cried the sheep. Feather! Cried the sheep as she took up another pair of needles. This didn't sound like a remark that needed any answer, so Alice said nothing, but pulled away. There was something very queer and gay about the water, she thought, as every now and then the oars got fast in it and would hardly come out again. Feather! Feather! The sheep cried again, taking more needles. You'll be catching a crab directly. A dear little crab, thought Alice. I should like that. Alice likes crabs! Yeah! We like Alice because she likes crabs. Time for crab. Didn't you hear me say feather? The sheep cried angrily, taking up quite a bunch of needles. Indeed I did, said Alice. You've said it very often and very loud. Please, where are the crabs? Oh, she's just like, I just want a fucking crab now. This is so good. She's like, you're gonna catch a crab. And she's like, yay, I want to do that. New goal, new mission. Fuck getting to the end of the board. I just want to get a crab. Alice understands the one step. Where are the crabs? In the water, of course, said the sheep, sticking some of the needles into her hair, and her hands were full. Feather, I say! Why do you say feather so often? Alice asked at last, rather vexed. I'm not a bird. You are, said the sheep. You're a little goose. Okay. This offended Alice a little, so there was no more conversation for a minute or two, while the boat glided? I guess it is glided. Glided? Yeah, glided? Is it glided? I guess it... It must be, right? What would it be if not glided? It must be glided. Okay. I mean, I'm sure it was at least at the time of writing, but I can't think of any other word that it would be. While the boat glided gently on, sometimes among a bed of weeds, which made the oars stick fast in the water, worse than ever, and sometimes under trees, but always with the same tall riverbank frowning over their heads. Oh, please, there are some scented rushes, Alice cried out in a sudden transport of delight. There really are, and such beauties. You needn't say please to me about 'em, the sheep said without looking up from her knitting. I didn't put 'em there, and I'm not going to take them away. No, but I meant, please, may we wait and pick some? Alice pleaded, if you don't mind stopping the boat for a minute. How am I to stop it? Said the sheep. If you leave off rowing, it'll stop by itself. Oh my god, crab money, $10. Oh my god, thank you. Thank you so much for the money, for your donation. I really appreciate that, crab money. This is money for the crabs. Thank you. And I lost my way again. Of course, but that's okay, because I'll find it. How am I to stop it? Said the man. So the boat was left to drift down the stream as it would, till it glided gently in among the waving rushes. and then the little sleeves were carefully rolled up, and the little arms were plunged in elbow deep to get hold of the rushes a good long way down the riverbank. Nope. A good long way before breaking them off, and for a while, Alice forgot all about the sheep and the knitting, and she bent over the side of the boat with just the ends of her tangled hair dipping into the water, while with bright, eager eyes she caught at one bunch after another of the darling scented rushes. I only hope the boat won't topple over, she said to herself. Oh, what a lovely one! Only I couldn't quite reach it. And it certainly did seem a little provoking, almost as if it happened on purpose. She thought that though she managed to pick plenty of beautiful rushes as the boat glided by, there was always a more lovely one that she couldn't reach. The prettiest are always further, she said at last with a sigh of the obstinacy probably, of the rushes and growing so far off. With flushed cheeks and dripping hair and hands, she scrambled back into her place and began to arrange her newfound treasures. What mattered it to her just then that the rushing had begun to fade and to lose all their scent and beauty from the moment? What mattered it to her then, just then, that the rushing had begun to fade and to lose all their scent and beauty from the very moment she had picked them? Even real scented rushes, you know, last only a very little while. And these, being dream rushes, melted away almost like snow, and they lay in heaps at her feet. But Alice hardly noticed this. There were so many other curious things to think about. They hadn't gone much further before the blade of one of the oars got fast in the water and wouldn't come out again, so Alice explained it afterwards. And the consequence was that the handle of it caught her under the chin. Oh no. And in spite of a series of little shrieks of ow, ow, ow from poor Alice, it swept her straight off the seat and down among the heap of rushes. That is, I think, maybe the only time in any of the books that, well, any of the two books that Alice gets hurt, I think. Hi, welcome back, officer. Well, it's a little bit hard to explain what you missed. Weird stuff happened. There was a goat, she met the White Queen, talked to Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and now she's in a boat. And now she's no longer in a boat. She's just got her head caught under an oar, and now she's no longer in a boat. However, she wasn't a bit hurt. Oh, okay, she's still not hurt, it's fine. And was soon up again. The sheep went on with her knitting all the while, just as if nothing had happened. That was a nice crab you caught! She got a crab! Yay, time for crab! She remarked as Alice got back into her place, very much relieved to find herself still in the boat somehow. Was it? I didn't see it, said Alice, peeping cautiously over the side of the boat into the dark water. I wish I hadn't let it go. I should so like a little crab to take home with me. Aw, she loves crabs! Yeah! See, very modern. The hands, stop. Okay, I guess we're good. But the sheep only laughed scornfully and went on with her knitting. Are there many crabs here? Said Alice. Crabs? And all sorts of things, said the sheep. Plenty of choice. Only make up your mind. Now, what do you want to buy? To buy, Alice echoed in a tone that was half astonished and half frightened, for the oars, and the boat, and the river had vanished all in a moment, and she was back again in the little dark shop. I should like to buy an egg, please, she said timidly. How do you sell them? 5 pence farthing for 1, 2 pence for 2, the sheep replied. Then 2 are cheaper than 1, Alice said in a surprised tone, taking out her purse, which she has. She just has her own money. What is she, 7.5, and she's got like a fucking wallet with money in it? This rich bitch. Only you must eat them both if you buy 2, said the sheep. Then I'll have 1, please, said Alice as she put the money down on the counter, for she thought to herself, they mightn't be at all nice, you know. The sheep took the money and put it away in a box. Then she said, I never put things into people's hands. That would never do. You must get it for yourself. And so saying, she went off to the other end of the shop and set the egg upright on a shelf. I wonder why it wouldn't do, thought Alice, as she groped her way among the tables and chairs, for the shop was very dark towards the end. The X seems to get further away the more I walk towards it. Let me see, is this a chair? Why, it's got branches, I declare. How very odd to find trees growing here. And actually, here's a little brook. Well, this is the very queerest shop I ever saw. Oh, did you ban some more spam? Thank you very much, Brody. Good job. And so she went on, wondering more and more at every step, and everything turned into a tree the moment she came up to it, and she quite expected the egg to do the same. And that is where we leave off. The next chapter is... Wait, did I say it wrong? Wait. Hold on. I fucked up. No, what? Huh? What? Huh? Oh my god. Okay. Oh, Dexted 321. Hi, thanks so much for following. Hi. Spam gets the class. Nice. Okay. So we just read chapter 5. Yes. We read chapter 5, which was Wool and Water, and now we come upon chapter 5, Humpty Dumpty. I'm assuming that it is a typo, and if I skip ahead a bit to the next chapter, that one is indeed chapter 7. So they fucked it up. This is supposed to be chapter 5, but it's not. Oops. I mean chapter 6. It's supposed to be chapter 6, but they wrote it wrong. It's a typo. That said, this is where we love off. This is where we love off. No, I can't talk. This is where we leave off for today. We just got a new follower. I'm very sorry you joined right at the end of the stream. The next chapter is chapter 6. Let me do it. 6. Humpty Dumpty. Perhaps the most famous chapter from this book. Or is it a typo? It is one of that's a very good point. Maybe it's intentional. Tell you what, hold on a second. I'm gonna get one of my other Alice in Wonderland books, and we'll see if it's a typo. To be fair with So Is Lewis, you never know if it's a typo or intentionally. That is very true. I meant about what happened to the spammer and deleted message, but okay, keep on. Oh, that was just like, it was just like, probably just like, you know, oh, you want to be famous, click this link and get 1 billion followers. You know, some dumb shit like that. Loves the stream, can't wait for more. Well, hold on, because we just had an encore, because I'm gonna find out if it's always marked as chapter 5. So I'll be right back. Okay, hi, I'm back. My hand wrong. Hi, I'm back. And I have with me a bigger Alice in Wonderland book. It is the Annotated Alice, the Definitive Edition, Lewis Carroll, Introduction and Notes by Martin Gardner, original illustrations by John Tenniel. So, let's find out. This beginning of this, through the looking glass, blah blah blah, insects, 3, okay, here we go. Nope, it's a typo. It's just, in this one, it's just chapter 6. Game of the Year edition, pretty much. Where's these, here's annotations, I see them. Huh. It says here that that in all of the official publications, like by Lewis and stuff, they always make sure that Humpty Dumpty is never drawn with his legs crossed, because that would make it for a more precarious sitting than if his legs were spread. That's an interesting little detail. I'm just gonna read all of these now. It is possible that Carol thought of these dream rushes as symbols of his child friends. Wow. Wow, okay. Anyway. So, that was the stream for tonight. This book is really big. I don't know where to put it right now. I'll put it on my lap. I hope you all enjoyed it very much. I can't stop. I know I had a very good time with all of you and with the wonderful story of Alice doing some dumb shit. Always a good time. I will, of course, be finishing the book in a future stream, and I hope to see you all there. I don't know when. Ooh! Thanks for your streams. Your voice is very nice to listen to. Aw, and I look forward.
Thanks for the stream.
Of
Your
course.
voice is very nice to listen to, and I look forward to the next reading.
Thank you. That's very nice to hear, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it very much. And of course, thank you very much for just donating, because that's like money. Oh my god, thank you. Yeah, sorry. It's just like talking all the time, reading a book, that's a lot more tiring and harder on the voice than talking now and then when you're playing a game, especially when you're playing with someone. So the stream is gonna end here now. Sorry. But yeah, we'll be back. The next stream is gonna be on Thursday. I don't know what it will be yet, but it'll be with co-hosts. If you want to hear what it is up ahead of time, join the Discord, which if it didn't work earlier, but if you do !! Discord in chat, then you should get a link. Yeah, it is night. And again, sorry that I'm not that I don't go on as long tonight as I usually would, but more tiring means less stream and stuff. I hope you all understand. So yeah, join the Discord if you want. You can also join or follow me on social medias, where I post announcements about stuff and also just do dumb stuff or whatever. Yeah, hope you have a lovely rest of your day or night or whatever. And yeah, thank you very much again for being here. And I already said I hope you have I hope you have 2 lovely days. Oh, get fucked. Oh, didn't see that one coming. Ooh, always keep you guessing. Okay, alright. Bye everyone. Bye bye. Wait, no, I gotta raid. I'll raid someone. If I can find someone, that is, of course. And we can! Ellie! She was here earlier. She's a friend. She's very nice. She is streaming something. I don't know what yet. Hold on a second. She's streaming Kenshi, which is it's like a, what is that again? It's like an RTS or action RPG. I don't fucking know what that is, but it's a thing. It's like if Diablo was an RTS or something. I don't remember. Anyway, it's interesting. So everyone say hi to her. Tell her to hydrate. Tell her to hydrate. Say hydrate. Okay. So have fun watching her in 10 seconds. Okay. Bye bye.
Crimes. Don't tell mom. Don't tell mom. Don't tell mom. Yeah, thank you. Oh my god, there's so many follows. Holy shit. Thank you so much, everybody. Welcome.